Okay, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and call us into order here. And if we're keeping such things, the time is 10:12, and this is interesting because it was 10:12 when we began yesterday, and we finished probably like 2 hours early. So let's hope we have the same good day today.
There for part of it, though.
Yeah,
I was there the whole time.
yeah, the juju's all
I missed
messed
the
up.
first, I missed those, only thing I missed were those two quick ones at the beginning, and I'm like, man, I missed the quick ones, what the heck, right
Yeah.
after 1 o'clock.
So at this time, I'm going to ask for public comment and ask that anybody here wishing to give such comment come forth, or if you are online, we'd love to hear from you. All you have to do is raise your hand virtually. I also just want to give notice for the, not that we're really keeping the record, but I guess we're recording this, right, Connie? So because the governor has furthered the declaration of COVID-19 as a state declaration, we are still under the operating rules regarding Open Meetings Act virtually. So it's kind of a good thing. We still have that ability to operate virtually and remotely. And so we'll just go straight into it. And Melissa, you are first, and emergency management, and then followed by the fire marshal. And just because I do like things the way they went yesterday, probably a good idea, you know, maybe in 15, 20 minutes to ask the fire marshal to come on downstairs.
Judge, emergency manager is on 272.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, Melissa.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Morning.
So we have two budgets that I'll be discussing today. The first one we'll go over is 5100. It's a smaller, not smaller budget, but it's a pretty simple, straightforward budget that we have established and have continued using for emergency services. The only thing that we did this year to this one, as we did last year, was slightly increase it due to the pandemic and the expected call volume increase because of the pandemic. So we again increased it this year, knowing that the pandemic is not over and that we will continue to have probably increased calls for our fire and EMS. And again, you can see that in the description. Again, it's straightforward. It was a 10% increase we decided to do this year. And it's strictly for the higher call volume. So it's pretty simple and straightforward. I'll open the floor for questions for you.
Are there any questions regarding the 10% increase due to call volume? Shocking, it's not higher than 10%, to be honest with you. Okay. Okay, Melissa, where else do you want to go?
So without any questions on that budget, I'd like to move to 5105, as this is the primary emergency management budget. And you have in front of you the presentation that was put together by the auditor's office. I had created a supplement presentation with additional information and compare and contrast. But the more I thought about it, the more I wanted to do this differently than I did last year. Last year I did bring some compare and contrast. I presented a spread of information. And I just feel like this year, because we had so many disasters, this office and our roles and responsibilities in emergency management have been evolving, especially with each disaster in such a short amount of time. So I really wanted to ask you today, Commissioners and Judge, what do you see in the emergency management office? What changes would you like to see? You have a role that you play in serving your constituents. I serve all of the constituents for all of your precincts as well. My office does. And so we share a same goal, which is to make sure that the residents of Nueces County are safe, and we're doing the most we can to mitigate damages from disasters and make our community resilient. I have a vision for our Office of Emergency Management. I've been slowly working towards that in my time here. I have big goals. I can see what Nueces County is capable of doing, and we've always had a role to take care of our neighbors and to be there for our neighboring jurisdictions as well. One thing that has really kind of come into the spotlight during all of the responses this year is how incredibly capable we are with minimal resources and personnel. And so can you imagine what we'd be capable of doing if we had more resources and we had the tools that we need? What is on this budget is predominantly the increase comes from personnel. My personnel request, it's pay increase for some of my staff so that we can bring in more staff underneath us. And the additional staff, I could have asked for 4 people. I really could fully work 4 people in my office because of the workload that we have. But with the 2 that you see there, the planner and the recovery specialist, those 2 folks would play a huge role in emergency management. Those 2 areas in emergency management take the most time, and they're the backbone of emergency management. The planning is the foresight, and the recovery is the long process that we experience after each disaster, whether that's the county recovering or individual residents recovering. And we have a responsibility to make sure that both of those things are happening simultaneously. This particular individual would, as far as recovery specialist goes, that particular individual would take a huge burden off of the grants department, which is also a very small department, but plays a huge role in emergency management. Help manage not only the recovery side and the grant side, but really the damage assessment side and the funneling of all of those photographs, everything that you sent us, commissioners, every disaster that we have people sending us photos. We have our departments reporting damages. A recovery specialist would be the one that's keeping their eyes on that the entire time, making sure we're not missing damages, because when we're trying to reach our threshold right after a disaster, it's important to have someone that has that undivided attention and seeing the recovery. We're still recovering from Hurricane Harvey. It takes a long time to recover from a disaster, and this person would maintain the recovery processes. COVID-19 is, you just saw, and Judge just mentioned that it's been further declared. And so we're still in it. We're still in response mode. So if we go, let's say 2 years, maybe even 3 years in response for COVID-19, the recovery for that is going to be 20 years. And this particular position would maintain those projects and maintain the information, make sure the grants administration office isn't overburdened by our disaster grants, because they have the responsibility of finding money for the county for all of the departments and projects and goals that the county has. So to have someone in my office that can take the disaster recovery burden off of the grants administration office would be huge for both grants, the county, and emergency management. There's additional roles that person could play for emergency management as well. And again, the planning position, that's the foresight, that's the person that's making sure that we're making the best plans, we're mitigating. Their focus is preparedness, mitigation. That allows me, my Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator, Kathy Ard-Blattner, and Brenda Elizondo, my Emergency Management Specialist, to focus on all of the other areas that our office is responsible for. Typically, we see a disaster response come and go quickly, and we can maintain all of the roles and responsibilities that we have in emergency management that happen on a regular basis. But in this perpetual state of disaster response, it's very difficult to keep grasp of certain things that are more long-term in the background that we can't let our eyes off of. The person that sits in the planning position also plays the role of the planning section chief during a disaster, and that's a critical role that I haven't really had as well as some of the other types of positions that we have. Just adding these 2 people will take a tremendous burden also off of the department heads in their roles in our EOC as well. Having more permanent staff in the emergency management office, plus the temporary position that we have, the part-time position that is assisting us with our phones and the phone bank, and actually the information desk for the courthouse just in general. This person can serve multiple roles for the county. So my biggest ask this year on my budget really is personnel, and I think it's important to discuss it and to ask you, what is it that you see And just based on what I've said, I mean, how do you feel about that? Do you think that those two people, in addition to the three that we have, can properly serve Nueces County and your constituents during multiple crises? And if it is the pay appropriate? Because I'm concerned about the job description for these positions, what I need and what I want, what would benefit the county most is a certain level of education and a certain level of experience. The problem is the pay that I'm able to offer. What I have there isn't what I started with. I had a different budget set forward, and I felt a little bit nervous, I'll use the word nervous about putting forth so much change. So I took that and condensed it down and said, if I can't have this, what else can I work with? And this is what I came up with. And so, in my opinion, as the emergency management coordinator for the county, I've been the EMC for a little over 2 years now, and before that, the deputy. I've been with the county for 4 years. I was here for the Hurricane Harvey response and all of our smaller responses that we've had throughout the years as well. And I know that this is needed. It's the bare minimum, but this would hugely, vastly change the capabilities of my office. And what my office is capable of doing doesn't just impact my little emergency management world. It impacts the entire county. And what we do here in Nueces County, we set the bar really high during COVID-19. We were the first ones to put out a phenomenal vaccine management plan. We did tremendous things when we opened our mega site, this regional mass vaccination site. Chief Rocha's Save Our Seniors program was recognized by the governor and used by what we can do here in Nueces County. If we recognize that we need to take big steps, we can do a lot here, and we could do a lot not just for our community, but the whole area around us. There's money coming down, there's opportunities coming down for coming in together with different regional and state and federal partners to build a joint command center. Some of the biggest issues and hurdles that we faced during our different disasters over the last year fell in the category of communication. And when all of those partners that you can spend hundreds of hours on the phone with are in the same place, in the same EOC, and have all of the tools that are needed, our efficiency and what we're able to do in response and preparedness and mitigation and planning would be phenomenal. And that the ability of our office to contribute to more programs for our community that address the struggles of personal level resiliency, which has an impact on our overall community resiliency, training for our partners, for firefighters and police, ICS training. There's so much that our office can do that other larger emergency management offices, are capable of doing. And I see it. And there's people here that work for different agencies that see it, and they're on board and they're excited, and we're ready. And we also know that there's mandates that are possible, right, coming down in the future when we have multiple disasters in a year, and different kinds of disasters. Your strengths are exposed, but also your weaknesses. And we had many disasters in a row. So we're very, very aware of the things that we need to improve right now. And now's the time to improve them. It's been all brought to the forefront. One disaster after another, a pandemic that has to do with the virus and health. We had a winter storm that had to do with power and utilities and reserves. We had flood. It brings to the limelight and the forefront our drainage problems and repetitive damages. And each disaster has really, really highlighted all of these different areas that we know we struggle in. We hear about them all the time, but that we haven't really been able to just hit head on and address. And I think if we can come together not only as a commissioner's court, but with the city of Corpus Christi, with the surrounding jurisdictions, all of the emergency management coordinators for different agencies that work together on a regular basis, what we could do here in Nueces County in the Coastal Bend, we could really set the pace for emergency management in other areas, especially for populations that are less than 5,000 but over 150,000. I just wanted to open the floor to questions and really would like to hear what you need and what you feel like your constituents need from emergency management as we go into a new budget cycle.
Melissa, I appreciate you bringing up the question that was there in my head was, is that salary worth it? Is that salary enough? I mean, I know we will attract people to it, but like you said, at what level of experience will you be able to attract based on that pay?
So with the salaries that I set forth there, unfortunately, I feel like the most that I can ask for qualifications would be associate degree and 2 years of experience. I would like to ask for a bachelor's degree and 4 years of experience, or maybe 2 years of experience. And I don't mean federal disaster declaration, it would be helpful, but any type of real life response. That's what's really needed, someone that has actually worked through the processes for a similar jurisdiction. The pay that I have there for those two positions, that's really gonna be difficult for me. The first budget that I put together, those two positions were higher, but so was my EM specialist. I had to raise all of us to bring in people underneath us at a pay that I felt was required for the job that they are gonna be doing for the county. But again, I also didn't want to cut myself off at the knees by making too much change at one time and maybe it not being as easy to see as I can see it. And so this is starting with a more basic structure. But if I could ask for more, I absolutely would. I would ask for more pay so that I can ask for more credentials and to ask for that education and that experience. Experience, it means so much, the real life experience. I came into Nueces County with a master's degree, and did it help me? Yes, but being here and having to work the disasters, that's where I learned most of what I know. So being able to bring in someone that has a baseline education, meaning a bachelor's degree, and some experience is going to bring in the people that can really, because Nueces County is a place where you just have to jump in and you have to be able to go, because we do so much here. And so I need them to come in with a certain amount of experience and knowledge base so that we don't have to stop and slow down and catch them up. We just live in a world where you just have to jump in and start swimming. And so if I can get someone in those two positions that has a little bit of foundation, it would be very helpful for the whole county.
You know, we'll talk about this obviously today and through the entire process. Whether this salary sticks or not, you know, my hope also is, you know, we talk about, a lot of times we hear from employees that there's a lack of ability to move up within the county. And perhaps there are employees who have gained some of that experience. I'm just kind of just thinking as you've been presenting that will have this opportunity to kind of work their way up based on the basics, the minimum that you're looking at, but be able to work up from there, because I agree. I mean, I think a lot of the work that you do, you had the background from school, but you also needed that hands-on to work when you worked with Christopher. So I think that's, you know, also, you know, another possibility for you. But you know, as you mentioned, you know, take the burden off the directors. And we've always talked about this every year and all the time, is our directors and a lot of our employees wear multiple hats. And it's hard to compare to our partners at the city of Corpus Christi, whose budget is 10 times bigger than ours. They're over $1 billion. We're at roughly 100 million or so, easy math. But when you look at their EOC, their directors or their lead person is in the EOC. They're not out there, but you have to be. Kathy has to be. You know, all the staff has to be out there. Edward and others. Because they're the director, but they also have to be hands-on right there at the basic level. And I can't imagine what that's like to be able to work through and to manage relief and recovery when you're also having to, I would think, kind of step back and kind of get the bigger picture, yet you're you know, elbows deep into the muck, you know, so to speak there. I want that for you. I want that for us, for our ability to respond to our constituents' needs, is to have that additional staff. And I'm glad that you say, you know, you could, you know, you're really planning and thinking long-term, and that's what I want to hear, and that you've said, hey, really two positions are what can really be a key to making a difference for you. So I want that at a minimum for you and for us. I think, and I see the pictures on social media still, of our we've had our rain events, right? And every couple of weeks or every week or so. And then the last rain event we had a lot of flooding. Thinking of Fiesta Ranch, I was in touch with you and with the judge right before the weekend. And now we're seeing more just so that water just coming downstream, where it's just filling up, overpassing low-lying bridges in other parts of the county. And those are still disaster recovery. That's still response that we need to have, and there's only so much that you all can do. And so I think having an emergency preparedness planner, and especially the recovery specialists, I think that those are going to be key. I don't know how they can help, or maybe that helps alleviate the work you or Kathy will do in responding to when any one of us call you, hey, this is going on right now, and you're able to kind of give us some options or help us roll out resources if that is what's necessary. But I think that this is a good step forward. Like I said, I know this is just kind of day 2 of the whole process, but I'm glad that you are looking forward. And I know that everyone so far has been really thoughtful and saying they're not shooting for the moon, they're just kind of going halfway, and I feel that that's kind of what you're asking for as well. But if any department really needs that response right now, it's disaster after disaster, Judge, that we're unfortunately going through, and it doesn't seem that that's going to let up, whether it be something like a pandemic or a hurricane or just heavy rains that we've had in this past month. So I'd like that you're thinking outside the box. I like that you are looking towards the future, and will really help set up our response to make it quicker to the public's needs. They may not think that we're doing much, but we're dealing with multiple emergencies at once in multiple locations. And after I talked with you all on Friday, I'd come from several sites in my precinct, and we're still dealing with issues in Fiesta Ranch. So it's everywhere, and we realize, and hopefully the public understands, we just can't get to everywhere at once, but with additional staff, that will hopefully make it easy for you all to be able to do that.
I appreciate you saying that so much, Commissioner, especially one of the biggest struggles, I think, in running the team here in the Office of Emergency Management is everything that we learn in all of our training, everything that is expected from the state and the federal government is all about that national incident management system. And from there, you have your ICS. We hear it all the time: ICS structure, ICS structure. The problem is that when you're trying to run ICS structure and enforce it and try to get your team to run on it, but you don't actually have the tools to do it, you find yourself in a little bit of a mess. If we have the appropriate permanent positions in my EOC, our ability to operate under ICS structure and be using that common language and processes as our partners in the state and the federal government, the way that things run here through a disaster would be a lot more streamlined. It would be easier to do. Sometimes it's hard to conceptualize running under ICS because we're every other person or every other tool we're missing. And so we can do it. We can build towards it. It's not going to happen right away, and it's not going to happen just because we have those 2 people either. But they're a huge step towards making that happen. There's a role that I'm supposed to play as your EMC. It's to keep you informed, to be part of those high-level meetings and conversations that are happening, and keeping in touch with my commissioners and what are we doing and what are the best steps. But if I have to be on site and I have to be trying to figure out the small details of the traffic flow and the multiple sites, I can't be here and also here. I can't be working on the ground level and supporting my team on the ground level, but also be running as fast as the judge and the way that the leadership decisions and what's happening at a higher level. It's very difficult to be in those 2 places at the same time. And following ICS structure would also help what we call scope of control. So in emergency management, your scope of control is typically about 5 people, meaning one person should only really have to communicate and lead 5 people. Those 5 people then would communicate and lead 5 more people. The way that we are running here, because we do wear multiple hats and we are stretched thin, your scope of control as anybody in any of the leadership positions or any of the emergency management roles, I can't give them a scope of 5 people. Everybody's in constant communication with at least 12, 20, 37 people. And it makes it very difficult to stay streamlined and to stay organized because you have so many people talking to so many people. And so scope of control is really important in emergency management. It eliminates room for error. It eliminates communication hiccups. It does a lot of things. And it takes that mental stress and burden of having to really manage and control so many different people and projects and places and concepts and levels of things. There's a lot that needs to happen here. And in the future, especially because the state of Texas, the federal government, I mean, everybody has experienced the global pandemic, and it has revealed a lot of things for a lot of people. So I know there was already talk of new emergency management mandates coming down just even a few years ago, meaning as a county or as a state, as a jurisdiction, that you must have someone credentialed, right? We'd be in big trouble here because I have to slow down and stop and take the time to get my SEM credential, but it's doable. I have everything I need for it. But if a mandate comes down and we need to be credentialed, you need to have emergency management personnel that's credentialed. You need to have this, that, or the other. That's where we get in trouble, especially if we're very far behind, because then we have to make a lot of changes very quickly and probably spend a lot of money very quickly. If each budget cycle we make small changes, in a few years, what we have here in Nueces County for emergency management could be so different, so amazing. We're already amazing. What we were able to do for the COVID response, with the tools that we had and how stretched we were, and the impossibility of the situation is amazing. It's incredible. And people used what we did as guidelines and examples. And we want to keep doing that. It feels good. It feels good to help other people. When you did the hard work and you figured it out, and you can just share that with someone and they don't have to go through the same struggles. If we could do that all the time, we can make a name for ourselves here in Nueces County for what a small jurisdiction is able to do in disaster response and recovery.
Are there any other questions for Melissa? Okay, I just want to also point out that we actually have another declared statewide disaster, and that is for our what's happening at the border, which we're in the triangle for. So sometimes we don't, in the midst of dealing with 4 local disasters, just to remind everybody, COVID-19, the winter storm, the Hurricane Hannah, and all floods, we have a 5th one that's a potential. And because it is a statewide and because we're in the zone, we actually have had to prepare operational plans for a variety of scenarios and situations. I also want to point out that while the governor has not signed it, there is an unfunded mandate that would affect emergency management. And I believe that these positions would help address that unfunded mandate if the governor decides to sign it. And that is, we are going to be required to, and maybe I sent it to you, Tyner, yesterday, but basically we're going to have to do a check on all of those that we give social services to. So no longer we're going to be able to do necessarily automated robocalls, or we're going to have to come up with a plan of attack to take care of the most vulnerable, which are our homebound seniors, or any homebound disabled during an emergency. This all arose out of Winter Storm and the over 150 lives that were lost. So I just want you to know that this probably is a conservative approach to emergency management, and I'm grateful to Melissa. I also want you to know that while this particular department does fall under my office, Melissa took 100% control of designing this budget. And of course, I had the chance to look it over, but I say that because you really do need somebody who has the credentials and experience to help design it. And so I think it's designed with success in mind. But given that we have 5 disasters that aren't going away at all, and we have already been told, and as I mentioned to you guys yesterday, Chief Kidd will be in town on Thursday for hurricane preparedness. We've been told and warned that we're going to have an overactive season. And we've also been told and warned that we will be mass vaccinating in the next 2-3 years. So our mass vaccinations will not stop. And in fact, our boosters are right around the corner. So you might remember back in December of last year, we here at the county, through our partnership with Christus and our city-county partnership, two different ones, right? County does their partnership, and then we do the primary one through City-County Health. So it's almost time for your booster. If you were that December or January, isn't that crazy? But the boosters are coming. So I say that, and then remember how Maria said yesterday she felt like she was good with two people. Well, that recovery specialist would be working intimately with grants. And so if you think about, if you were worried, and I thought I detected some concern from some of you, that maybe Maria's office was not fully staffed, but in the interest of fiscal, concern, she felt like with her subject matter experts, our consultants are subject matter experts, that she felt like she could get what she needed. Well, just know that this recovery specialist could really help Maria, because this recovery specialist, Melissa, is somebody who's going to help us qualify our dollars. And this is where we spend an inordinate amount of time.
And Kathy, my deputy, she does a lot for our recovery processes right now. That's any of the kind of preliminary work that can be done before it's really passed off to Maria's office, or a particular project or documentation that's needed for a current project. That does come back to us. And right now I have my deputy who can play many roles for me, and I need her to, but she's very bogged down right now on a lot of the recovery of some of our disasters that we're in. So it's not only taking the burden off of grants, but it's really taking the burden off of the members of my immediate EOC as well. Right now, Kathy Ardblatner is, I'd say, predominantly working recovery. I need that off of her plate because there's many things that we're working on right now as well. We're rapidly getting our hurricane reentry program updated so that if we do have to evacuate this year, we have everybody with their credentials to either remain or come back in, the partners that we need here. Some of those things can't stop, and they're very time-consuming. And so right now, she's working a lot on the recovery of our disasters. And I need someone that can focus on that, because you can't halfway be working on the recovery. It's the most important part. We know we have damage. We know we're losing money. We need to find money. We know there's opportunities there, but how can we spend it? How can we shape our projects? And that's exactly what we need, someone that can really focus on. And that doesn't just take that burden off of my office, but there's some that it pulls off of the grants administration office as well.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. I mean, again, there's a lot to unpack here, but just know that I did some tallies, and if you all are keeping notes, it's a total of $120,000 for personnel and about $60,000 increase for overall budget. That's under $200,000. This county has spent over $7 million in our cumulative disasters in one fiscal year. Please know that that is about the best money that you could possibly invest in this coming year. Also, even though you didn't present comparisons, please know that you've got them, I know, and you could share them with the court from last year. I know Julie's got them as well, comparisons on price, and also on just how many people really are necessary to run a robust emergency management when you live in the zone of hurricanes. And because the port has also grown immensely, immensely in the last 6 years, unfortunately, we had loss of life on 2 different occasions, and we had 2 explosions. Even though we attended to both of those in emergency management, God forbid there were to be a very serious explosion and or environmental spill. We simply do not have the personnel to run this kind of a county with this kind of assets, from coastal beaches all the way to industry, to our rural, low-lying and floodplain prone areas. Galveston, I think, has over 7 people in their response team. That's just their basic team, not even their communications people. So we really need to play catch up. Melissa, this is appreciated in a year that we want to be thoughtful, that you've been so conservative, and I would leave it up to the good judgment of the court to figure out whether you need that 2 or 4 year degree person after working with auditor and Julie. We probably will come back to you. But at a price tag of under 200,000. I'd submit to you that in 1 month, by getting experts that we needed during crisis, we spent that in 1 month. Here, we're talking about 2 individuals to add to the team all year long for less. That's really what we're faced with, is when we're in crisis, we have no choice. We have to bring in people to do the job. This would be a much better use of our dollar, and we would get so much more experience for an overall team.
And commissioners, I'll send you the original presentation that I put together for today. I just really woke up this morning and wanted to just talk about the department and the needs and what the year has been like, and just ask you what you see our office being in 5 years, and to just open dialogue. I think it's important, not just to come up here and say what I think we need, but to allow you to tell me what you feel like your constituents need. What is your precinct need? All of those concerns and all of those disasters that are experienced, whether it's the localized flooding that some of the western cities experience, we're involved in all of that. And so everything that I stand up here and bring to you and try to do, and the changes that I try to make, it is for all of us. It is for the entire county. And small changes, no changes can have impact, but small changes can have huge impacts in a very positive way. And I'm not disappointed in what I've presented, but I know that we need more, and that this could have been more, the ask could have been more. But I really didn't want to maybe lessen my chances, and so I really tried to think with the least possible money spent, how can I really improve this office with bringing in the least people with the least amount of money. But I really do know that we'll be more successful if we can put certain types of people in these new positions, certainly having the 2 new positions, and then putting the right people in those positions. Some of the other more expensive increase you'll see on there, that has to do with renovating the current EOC. I brought that forward last year. We had COVID. There was no time for ripping walls out. But there's some restructuring that I'm setting forth. We are in hurricane season. I also can't rip walls out of my EOC during hurricane season. But as soon as we get over that hump of what is typically our critical part of hurricane season, that's going to be the first thing that my office does. Part of us being able to function properly as a team is having the right space to do it. We have had a global pandemic. It's changed the way that we feel it's changed our contact culture. It's changed the way that we feel about being next to people. And like the judge said, it's going to continue on for a few more years. And so that mindset and that fear will continue as well. So opening up the EOC, making that big wide space where we can put real workstation tables and properly design an EOC to function for a team that we're trying to establish here. Just those 2 things, those 2 changes, the personnel and the restructuring of the physical EOC, we can do so much with that. But I encourage you to think about all of the possibilities. Think about a joint command center where we can have DPS or TDM folks. The COG with RJ Thomas, who also runs what we call the MAC, or the Multi-Agency Coordination Center. All of these different partners, Hillary Watt from CBRAC, we all communicate with one another. So we could have local, state, and federal partners together in one EOC that is designed for exactly what we need. And we need to look at partnering with those partners, with the City of Corpus, with City of Port Aransas, all of them, to really, really come together. We can each struggle as individual areas and jurisdictions to slowly build up to what we need, or we can come together, put your people together, put your money together, and make exactly what you need. And I feel like we're really close to being able to do that, and we have everybody excited about doing that. But I don't want to take on an endeavor like that without the basic team that I need to be able to successfully operate in a command center like that, and to be able to produce the type of preparedness and response that you would expect from that type of regional emergency management type operations.
You didn't brag about yourself, so I just did a little bit of math. basically just in grants, emergency management has been directly involved in the last fiscal year. And maybe let's call it a year and a half, because we're in a half year right now. So I'll call it a year and a half. I total, 1827, over $32 million worth of cumulative grants for the next, that's not ARPA funds. That's different, that we've been directly involved with for our region for emergency management purposes. And that includes dishes is 18 million to the city and county. It includes 5.4 to CRF, 4.4 for FEMA advanced funding vaccination. And, heck, I wrote 3 million and I can't remember what the 3 is for. But we are 100% directly involved with bringing those dollars. That's just for one disaster home. It's not just that you're the first responder. You're the first responder. You're the recovery agent, and you're the reimbursement vehicle. And so I think that when we talk about rate of return, that's something that I'm looking at across the board. Sometimes there is no rate of return, except for the goodwill and the good service that you do. But in this case, we're blessed that you guys do both. So just wanted to point that out, that it's a lot of money coming in the door because of the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Let's go on, if you don't mind, Melissa. We'll just pause if there are any other questions, and if not, I'd like you to contact the fire marshal. I don't see him in the room.
He's online, Judge.
Oh, hello, he's online. Okay. Why don't you stay just to listen in to the fire marshal?
Sure.
And that way, if anyone has any further questions, they can ask you or Jose.
Sure.
You guys have been working as a great team this year.
Page 281, Judge.
Good morning, Jose. We're ready for you to proceed. There were no other questions for Melissa, correct? It's okay to go on? Okay, no questions. All right, here comes Jose. Good morning, Jose. There you are. Yes, we've got you loud and clear, and we're ready for your presentation for your budget.
Awesome. Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Long morning, I'm sure already, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. The proposed budget for 21-22 is going to be $39,755, as opposed to the one we have in place now, which is 21,275. As you know, the office just was established, and we're in the process of getting everything up and ready to go. Some of the additions for the upcoming proposal are going to be the capital outlay, which is at 7,000. Any questions on what?
Run through it all, and then we'll just ask cumulatively if there are any questions, if you don't mind.
Sure enough. Okay. Then we're adding the non-capital outlay for 38.
Tell us what
Professional
bunker
services.
gear is, just so I'm familiar. What is 3,000 of that 3,800 is bunker gear? What does that mean?
It's gonna be the uniform that I would don.
Oh, got it.
In the event I need to go into a facility or a building that has burnt
Yes,
chemicals and all that.
Understood.
Pretty dangerous, unhealthy.
understood, thank you.
Want to go to the professional services, which is 2,500. Under operating and other services and charges is going to be 4,000. I'm looking for training there. And then that pretty much sums it up for what's being added to the budget. Everything else pretty much is going to be worked under this year's budget, which is the 2021, for some of the equipment and stuff. I'm not getting all of the equipment this year. when I talked to Teresa, when we sat down, she said it'd be better off that if, we kind of broke it up a little bit and spent some of the money this year and then some of the money for next year. So that's what we decided to do. Again, right now, I'm just, waiting for my vehicle still. And after that is when I'll start purchasing some of that stuff. I just don't want to have it and not have nowhere to store it at this point.
Okay. So it looks like we just got started last year, and now it looks like this might be more of a normalized budget regarding
Yes, ma'am.
equipment and particularly certifications and software licenses. Does anybody have
That is
any
correct.
questions? The increase, if you're keeping tabs, is a delta of, let's see, yeah, about 18,000.
53,000.
So from 21,000 to 40,000. So about 18,000 extra. Does anybody have any questions for our fire marshal?
What kind of equipment are you asking for?
That one, it's gonna be air monitoring, it's gonna be respiratory, it's gonna be the helmet, some of evidence cans, some of the stuff that I'm gonna need for the actual investigation part. God forbid we have to investigate an arson of any sort. But I'd like to have all that handy, and ready to go in my vehicle. The majority part of it is gonna be training. Just so you guys know, 2 weeks ago, I began the code training. It's a 6-month process. It's a lot of reading and a lot of testing that goes on. So,
Jose, and maybe this is for the auditor, this past court, we had Michael come and present regarding the firearms.
yes, ma'am.
But I noticed they're here too. Is that Dale extra, or are we covering that in this year's budget for him?
We've ordered those. I've ordered 2 pistols and I've ordered 2 rifles. And let me explain that just a little bit. Obviously, when I'm in service, I will be carrying a pistol and a rifle. Again, God forbid that something happens and I need to use my pistol or my rifle, that'll be taken into evidence, right? And it'll be stuck there until the case is closed. We don't know how long that takes sometimes, so that's the reason I ordered 2. So I'll have one here. Once I get my safe, I'll have it here in the office stored, basically just to have a backup. And hopefully, once this office gets up and running and the opportunity presents itself and we can hire some folk, again, now I've got some equipment that I could immediately put into service and then just order some more as we go. So that's the thought process behind that.
Okay, so that represents the split then, Dale?
Judge, capital outlay for the general fund, which this is a department of the general fund, goes through the Department 1900, which is Teresa working with them. So if we can acquire them this year, we can. This is just in case we need to include it for next year.
Got it, understood. Okay, great. You want to tell us about your office, just so the commissioners can have some situational awareness? You're working on the 5th floor, and it's looking pretty good, right? There's a few things
Yes.
that need to be done, but,
Yes, ma'am, I finally got moved in. I'm on the 5th floor, 508, almost going into the big courtroom here. Slowly and surely, it's coming along. Got my furniture, got my TV up. The TV's got a pretty big TV, but let me explain that. I visited the Bexar County Fire Marshal's office probably about a month ago and spoke to him, and my hat's off to that guy. He bent over backwards for me, and he's offered his complete support, and he's offered me any piece of equipment that I need that he has is available to us. He said, pick up the phone and it'll take me 2.5 hours to get there, Joe. So you don't sweat. But with that came along a lot of the little things that I'm learning as I'm going. He says, if you can, get you something big, because what's going to end up happening is these folks are going to be sending in their plans for their construction, right? And we all know as they send them, he goes, get it as big as you can. So if God forbid, again, if something happens, right, you'll have those. investigators from all over are gonna come in and they're gonna wanna see, and it's just easier for us to have it on a big screen there and look at it. Also, it's to review them as they come in. That'll be part of the class that the 6-month class that I'm taking now, it'll be a plan examiner as well.
Very good. Very good. Are there any questions for Fire Marshal? I also want to thank Maria's office. They tried very hard to win a grant from the Lower Colorado River Authority for $25,000 for fire marshal equipment. We were not successful this time. I think they kind of gave us some good feedback, and there might be opportunities. We're going to be applying again this year for opportunities for the fire marshal to be extra equipped. Sometimes you learn from when you fail rather than when you succeed. So we are gonna, that opportunity came to us through Susan Roth, so we're gonna go back and see what we can do. But the other thing that you should know is that the marshal's also been involved with we have a lot of new industry in the unincorporated area, from Buckeye, new solar plant and LPG facility, to Epic, which is the tank farm and fractionator with an additional fractionator on its way, and the new Amazon facility. And so what's great about our fire marshal is it's not just about fires, it's the prevention of such catastrophic events and also the safety plans that go into it. And again, maybe we've never really thought about this before because we've never had this type of industry before in this area. So of course, we have DeDietrich and we have Lyondell, but all this new industry is fostering new reasons to get the services that the people expect. I think that was something that this court said was very important. So thank you, Marshall, for, working with all these great companies. And I think that it speaks well for Nueces to know that they've got somebody who could reach out to them immediately, particularly a company like Amazon. So, all right, well, then we'll let you go and we'll do so timely. It's 11 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
You guys enjoy.
Yep. And so now we're going to move straight into Department 5200 and 5220, and they're here, and that's Environmental Code Enforcement. And so we'll just wait for the, hold on one second, I think it's right here. Yeah, it's on page 289. Well, it starts on 280. Yeah, there you go, 288. And so go ahead, please proceed.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. For Department 5200-911 program, we have no change in that budget. The only thing that we are respectfully asking is for your consideration for us to rename this department. If we could take it to Commissioners Court as an agenda item. We have received many calls confusing this department with 911 services.
Yeah.
So we would like to maybe propose an emergency address program, or if you have another suggestion that we could take, that we could rename this department. I think that's the only thing we have for this. It is kind of confusing to the residents out there.
Good idea.
Okay. Given that there's really no changes here, and you'll bring that agenda item to us, are there any other questions that, if not, we can move to 5220. 5220, which is located in your packets at 294 and 295. And you have just a small change here.
Well, for the operating
Yes.
budget, all we have right now is just reallocating funding for the contractual increase for their LexisNexis. It's an annual 3%. That is always comes up every year. This is a search urgent for the environmental enforcement officers to locate addresses and any information that they need to do their investigation. It's just a good program that they use on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And that's all we have for just that. And then we also have some personnel requests.
That's on page 301, Judge.
Yes. I'm with you, go ahead.
Okay, we respectfully requesting a clerk to assist the environmental enforcement officers with the paperwork and that they have on a daily basis. This would assist them to have a clerk to do the paperwork, to file things that they need to do so that they can get back out to the field and do what they need to do. And we're also requesting 3 environmental enforcement officers to help them to maybe assign different officers to different sectors so that they can have more eyes to investigate and to take calls for any illegal dumping. And also, we have just reclassifying the environmental officers that we do have right now from a 20 to a 24.
Okay, well, that's a lot of personnel, but I understand the request. Are there any questions here first? We also have officers here that you could also ask about the need. They could probably give you a lot of insight. Any questions for code
Judge,
enforcement?
I think that this is one of the areas that we need to increase is the enforcement officers. I can't imagine just 2 officers that have to cover the entire county, and they do a great job. I
Yeah.
know they keep me updated. I know they keep all the commissioners updated. When we have a concern, they run to it. And sometimes they're both there. Sometimes they're split because they have multiple calls. And especially right now, I think with the flooding that we've had, getting phone calls and emails and concerns from constituents about illegal dumping that's blocking a lot of these creeks or waterways that we have. And these are the people to do it. They're out there, and I know that they're flexible as much as can be expected for a 2-person crew to handle the entire county. But I'd like to be able to see that they can flex to weekends or other times that we seem to find that's when the illegal dumping pops up is, long weekends or just at nights. A lot of times it pops up in someone's home or in proximity to that. So I'm all in favor for additional officers. Now, how many? I don't know, but I think we need to leave this budget, or leave this, approve this budget with at least 1 additional officer for this year. Juan, do you think that, I'm sure there's paperwork, or maybe one of the officers wants to answer, does the paperwork slow you down a lot? I've heard that from other law enforcement that, having to go in or type it up, and so you think that admin will help you with that, admin clerk?
We could, because of our investigations, a lot of time we could sit in front of a computer instead of being out in the field a whole week. That's how in depth some of our investigations get when we're using all of our skills to try to track down these violators. It takes a long time, and while sometimes he'll be tied up, I'll be tied up, and we're sitting right next to each other doing this. And then you got the regular everyday stuff like neighborhood cleanups, keep the yard clean and all that stuff that requires paperwork. You got to send it out to them. Clean up your yard. Clean up your yard. Well, in other areas and other code enforcement, we're not code enforcement, but they have clerks that do that. We send that information to them, and they'll send out the letters, or they'll send out the citations or whatever. And so we have to do all of that ourselves.
And also, I know, when we talk about pay increase, we need to do something in the next collective bargaining agreement with the law enforcement to maybe include y'all. I don't know if y'all don't mind I think y'all are excluded from that, right?
We have been cut out of that.
You've been cut out of that. So these are 2 law enforcement officers who are not part of that negotiation that comes between HR, the Sheriff's Officers Association, and Commissioners Court. So until then, I think we need to think about, increasing their pay because that's what that agreement that we did in 19 has done, is a step increase typically every year. There seems like there's an increase. So I think we need to match that as well, but include y'all in, was it 23, Julie, or when is it, 22, 23, somewhere around there? 23, I think, yeah. So if we can just remind ourselves to do that as well, because that's really important.
Go ahead.
I thought we had done that already, Julie, did increase, didn't we do that last year?
Increase what, I'm sorry?
Their pay? No?
Their pay did increase last year as part of the COLA that was offered to county employees.
You know, and I just want to say, in your favor, is that, you guys do weekends sometimes. I know you do operations in the morning at 6 o'clock.
Yes, sir, we
And we
do.
have requested it, and you've been out there.
Yes, sir.
And not only that, but you guys, have to go through trash bags to find out who really is the culprit of the whole thing. And
We
that's how
dig
you,
through
that's
trash
how you
to
make
find
it.
out who did it.
That's how you make your cases, right? A lot of them.
Yes,
So, it's, people don't know, what you do out there, but I know you've been out there on Saturday mornings at 6 o'clock. And I thank you for that and appreciate the
Yes,
extra
sir.
work that you do. And I know you go to the JP course too. So that's another area that you go to. That's another area that takes up your time. You go to JP court, 'cause you follow all your cases with JP courts.
We have to, we try to keep track of all of our cases, because it's a waste of time to be putting in all the manpower hours that we do and just walk away from it.
I appreciate you giving me a list of all the JPs you filed in so I can call them and say, what's going on?
Hey, I'll be glad to do that.
So, but anyway, I thank you guys for the work that you do.
Yes,
Really
sir.
appreciate you.
I also would like to thank you guys for what you do. I think if we can increase by one, it'll be good. If we can increase by two, it'd be even better.
Ought to be better.
Because I have driven out there with Mr. Garcia and Mr. Pimentel, and we've seen a lot of people said, well, that's illegal dumping. I asked them, how come this hasn't been picked up? It's illegal dumping. So I think the people that are doing illegal dumping kind of know your schedule when you guys are around or not. So if we increase the force, they'll, it'll kind of trick them a little bit, and they'll never know when you guys are going to end up there. So I hope that we do increase your personnel and your pay and get you that administrative office that you need to give you more free time.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate what y'all do.
Thank you.
So, it seems like that, if we could get some assistance with paperwork and through a clerk's position, and maybe, I noticed the technology is low here, but that's just the LexisNexis piece of it. But I'm wondering if there might be some innovative software or technology that would assist maybe in the, formatting of these letters, or, that's something that we get solicited. I get solicited. I usually send the good stuff to Connie. We get solicited a ton on different type of software platforms called QSend. They're basically meant for municipalities, but every once in a while, it works really well for counties. That might be something that we can look at. This would be both a portal for citizens to call in and give info, and then the same portal would follow up with them and/or allow you to send them notices. So that's something I might want to have you maybe work with IT on to see if, I don't know, we're gonna, let us look into that. Because I think it's an impossibility to have two people cover the geographical area that Nueces County has. So, I wholeheartedly agree. I hope that we can have the budget to do that. I also want to express my support for making this under law enforcement should have a superior that's law enforcement. It just doesn't work any other way. You are different. You are peace officers. It needs to be treated as such. And when you do that, you'll find that the audience, i.e. the residents, will completely respond differently, right? And so rather than be in public works, if it has its own authority, it will feel different. And so that's something I think that this court should take into consideration and explore. That's why the fire marshal is also a peace officer. We made sure of that. And it's actually why Melissa is going to get her peace officer license as well. So somewhere down the line, we may want to explore that and that would help in the collective bargaining piece too. It gets tricky to take two people outside a department that specializes in public works and engineering, right?
Somehow, somebody's been working some magic, because it's definitely tricky.
It is very tricky. And so I'm just thinking our future really probably lies in you not only being autonomous, but law enforcement is going to think a certain way. and you're gonna get the budget that your department head, presents to you. I mean, let's face it. But when you, the law enforcement, are thinking with law enforcement lenses, you're gonna have different items here. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. And I've noticed that with the fire marshal, working with the sheriff's office. Like, for example, the sheriff's office is holding the license, even though the fire marshal's under my office of emergency management, it just made more sense for the sheriff to take that role. So I'd like us to consider that. Maybe it's not in the cards this year, but maybe it's in the cards next year, once we can get some more thought processes behind it. But you guys should really give some thought to that. A department that works is one that looks like a department.
Yes, ma'am.
Weren't y'all,
Drones, things like that.
weren't y'all gonna be under the umbrella of the constables at one time? Whatever happened to that?
Well, our present constable, Sherwood,
Constable one, I
was
think,
very supportive of the idea at one time, but I guess
I
we've
know
been so busy,
I know
we haven't
Constable
followed up on
one was
anything.
kinda thinking about it, and Constable three was thinking about it, so,
Several of the
and
departments, we
that might be
approached-
another area where we can say, you're gonna be under umbrella under the constable.
But which one do you put them under is the
Right,
question.
there's too many.
Well, just one, I mean, that should be constable precinct one or precinct three, one of the two.
Because, but don't they, you
Yes.
just work in 1 and 3, is that what you're saying?
No, but the whole county,
Right, so
but
why
it'd
would,
be just under the umbrella of the council, so they can get their license.
no, I was thinking, why wouldn't you just put it under sheriff? I mean, because he's countywide, right? I mean, would that be,
Either
All
one.
of, we're countywide, even as
Yeah.
constables, as you know, we're countywide.
Yeah.
no, I get it, but I'm just saying if, to have some real, under, they're countywide, but they represent an area, whereas the sheriff represents the whole county. And so my thought would be maybe like the judge said, if you put it under law enforcement, then you're gonna get some real stick behind you. And if you put it under the sheriff, I mean, who's an elected countywide official, I would think that would be good. So, I don't know, just a thought. I don't know how we go about looking at it.
We're brainstorming. I've
Yeah,
never-
brainstorm it. And, it could always, you could be like the fire marshal, right? He's a hybrid, right, in a strange way. He's got I don't have a peace officer's license, so I mean, we need the peace officer to hold that license, right, for firearms. But he's under emergency management because that's sort of the better fit. But again, it's changed in my mind for the better, because when the sheriff comes, and we've had some good discussion, I mean, he truly understands what he needs certification-wise. He understands what the right firearms are. He understands things that I don't understand. And I think that is because there's a nexus between law enforcement. And I just like to see us pursue that. I'm getting excited about the technology piece of everything. And Juan at one time wanted drones. Those are excellent tools to be able to monitor feeds. You could fly a drone over an area and cover the work of 10 men, in a day. But guess what you're going to have? The right feed back, a clerk someone's looking at it, right? I mean, it doesn't come without the personnel.
Correct.
But I think we all understand the need that's there. I'm just sort of exploring how you can have more teeth. I'd like to see you guys become somebody that I would go, oh man, here they come, right? We want to make sure that you're a force to be reckoned with, because it's counties, that's what they do. Counties have to worry about the areas where people take advantage.
I think we're kind of at that point now. I mean, like the commissioner said, there's more dumping when we're not out there than there is,
Sure.
because they know, oh God, these guys they're out there, So I would like to think that the whole county knows who we are, even though there's two of us, because we enforce our law. We enforce the law as much as the law will allow us to. We do have
Yeah.
limitations in Nueces County. We've been over that over the years, but what we do have, we work with it. We work strenuously with it. So I hope that the people
Right.
out there know that.
Well, if they're
we're
not
there.
state laws and you think that this court could strengthen a Nueces County law, let us know. Also, there's been a big plea, we haven't had a chance to deal with it on an agenda, but I bet it'll come up quickly. And that's, you've seen that our animal care and control has really changed. We just have a real issue nationwide with this, but we're unfortunately a big offender. And so, again, there might be strengthening of rules that are inherent to Nueces County, right? We can change the rules. We just have to have the desire to do it. So if you know of
Exactly.
something that we need to do or strengthen, I mean, that's something that you should bring to us.
We would be more than glad to review it or
Yeah.
bring it to your attention again. I mean, over the years, it kind of, especially with new people being elected and others, we have to reintroduce this over and over. But every time it comes up, we'll be more than glad to reintroduce it.
Sure. Well, if you think it makes a difference to the best interest of our county, I'd like to see it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the officers?
I just think if we increase their force, there will be a force to be reckoned with. And I think the public will realize that, because we need to make them more visible out there, because there is a lot of illegal dumping going on, and we need to work on that. Thank you, guys.
I would ask that if the personnel gets, if your request were to be granted in any form, 1, 2, or 3, and they happen to be officers in the field, that you also contemplate all that would be required. In other words, the cost is not just personnel. And so that has to be factored in when we make these decisions. So I might have you go back and really look at that and say per capita, so per person, what would the vehicle be, the gear, all of the things that'd be necessary. Because unfortunately, it's not this number. It's a lot higher. And so that has to be taken into consideration. So if we added, for example, 1 clerk and 1 officer, hypothetically, this number does not accurately reflect it. And Dale can help you with that. And I would encourage it. I would encourage it based on what I've heard here this morning.
Thank you. I agree.
It won't take much time either.
Yeah, we'll get with Dale, Judge.
Just Dale, get it with Dale. All right, thank you, guys. We're gonna let you
Thank you.
go if there's no further questions, and it'll keep us on time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so having said that, the next one is social services. And we're a little ahead of schedule, but they're here, so that's nice.
Page 302.
And so we're gonna work on 4110, which is tab number 4. Tab number 4 in your book. And welcome.
Hi, I'm Sal Hernandez, the Executive Administrative Assistant for Social Services, also supervisor out there. Rebecca is out of state, so she actually had a pre-recorded presentation for you, and I'll be here to answer any questions you may have after.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I apologize for not being available in person today. I am currently out of state. I tried to cover all the bases with a detailed personnel justification in the budget packet that I'm sure you've already reviewed, with Sal being there in person to answer any budget questions, and now with this pre-recorded video. I'm requesting 4 reclassifications this year. My department currently has 2 intermediate clerk positions that I am asking be reclassified to senior clerk positions based on the recommendation of HR. These positions will be cross-trained with other senior clerk positions in the department to take on more responsibilities, including some accounting tasks and report compilations, which I believe benefit the department. If the pandemic taught us anything, I think one was the need for replication within the department in management positions. Therefore, I am requesting that the Executive Administrative Assistant 2 position be reclassified to the position of Assistant Director. This is not a new position to county personnel, since many other departments already have a deputy or assistant director, but it would be a new position to the Social Services Department. I believe it is imperative that the organizational structure clearly define who is next in line should the director become unavailable or busy with multiple operations. For many years, this situation has been either informal or undeclared, but I think now is the time to make it an official position for the department. We've seen the department grow with additional funding and technological needs, and we know that directors may need to be absent at times for extended periods. Currently, the Executive Administrative Assistant 2 is the person in the department who is given the broad overview and updates on all department activity, including the budget. But that person needs some authority to act in an official capacity. Some examples of the unique duties now being performed by the Executive Administrative Assistant 2 are configuration and system maintenance of software, direct oversight of the Nueces County Child Welfare Program and budget, and temporarily serving as the Director of Social Services in my absence. Based on the job responsibilities, we need to align this position with other similar positions in the county. I've attached a draft of the proposed job description, which incorporates additional duties also performed by other assistant directors in Nueces County. This position currently supervises more employees than other supervisors within the department and should be compensated within a comparable pay group and car allowance. My personnel requests in the past have usually been for the purposes of increasing pay for the lowest paid employees on staff or to reclassify positions to maintain a fully staffed department and prevent turnover. But this year, I am requesting an increase in pay group for my position of director. While I certainly appreciate the years when increases such as COLAs have been approved by the court, I feel a need to point out that I do not recall having requested a raise for this position since becoming the Director of Social Services almost 10 years ago. I'm sure you have read the budget packet personnel justifications, so I won't repeat the details. However, I would like to clarify that the personnel justification I submitted for the reclassification of pay group for director was taken directly from my personal notes when interviewed by Korn Ferry last year. The interview centered on management functions, organizational structure, supervisory roles, and department responsibilities. Since becoming director in 2011, I've made changes to improve the department's operations, technology, and client support. We have gone almost completely paperless and now manage our documents electronically. We improved our policies and protocols to provide more protection to the county from fraud and to get help to those who truly need it. We instituted paying clients' bills with a P-card rather than generating checks, and we continue to work on this process to ensure that clients who are behind on their bills get caught up as quickly as possible without late fees. We continue to work on software development to allow more efficiency in case management and reporting requirements. And we continue to improve virtual accessibility for our applicants. We also began working more closely with other departments, such as grants and veteran services, to provide more resources to the community, and we continue to partner for programs that are mutually beneficial. We also activate as needed during a disaster. For social services, this is usually a 1-2 punch, since not only do we continue to serve our residents and regular clients who rely on us during and after a disaster, but we additionally work with emergency management in our assigned EOC roles. For example, during COVID, I participated in most county-run vaccine clinics, either through planning, working the event, or both. I relied on my staff to either participate with me or keep things running smoothly in the office for our clients and the public. We also responded to the winter storm either in the Emergency Operations Center or dealing with residents' issues, such as finding drinking water. The increase I am requesting is still substantially less than the base salary rate listed in the Korn Ferry salary study for the Social Services Director position. With that, please consider the value in the institutional knowledge and experience needed for this position. My staff and I work daily to help hundreds of households in dire situations, and I believe that we do make a big impact on any given day in the lives of those we serve. We continue to be the safety net for those in need living in our community. My point is that while other departments may come before you with new building or major renovation projects, I, as the Director of Social Services, oversee an operation that repairs and improves lives. My department provides help to people in desperate situations so that our children and our elderly don't experience food insecurity and our families don't become homeless. Decisions on budgets isn't an easy task, so if I can answer any questions for you, please do not hesitate to get in touch with me. I plan to be back in the office later this week. Thank you for your time and have a great day.
Thank you, Sal, for playing that, and you'll thank Rebecca for us as well.
In addition to that, under 4110, the other increases we're asking for are for software service and maintenance as part of, and also the rental space for the RTA that we share with the Veteran Services Department.
So I noticed 4110 is basically just contractual increases.
Correct.
No real increase from you. And I also noticed that 4130, I don't know if you want to go through it, there's no increase at all. That's the Child Protection Services.
Correct.
And 4120 as well, I believe direct has also no change at all.
Correct.
So really what we're looking for, if we want to see, is other than the contractual $3,000, it's that personnel that she has asked for.
Correct.
Are there any questions at all?
No questions, just we need to keep our eye on that rent at the RTA building. I know it's a great facility. I know that the intent was to put you with Veteran Services, put it more out of the way, more really accessible, so people don't have to get necessarily pulled into the courthouse and can get in and out. The times I go, it's always busy, and I just like the layout, the setup that you all have. I love that common area, waiting room that you all have. I know you all work to help each other out.
Yes.
To greet people, it doesn't depend on who they're seeing, that you all are out there to help. But that would just be my concern. And 3% may be what the rate is right now, just in the country. I'm not sure. But I think, over the years, we needed to kind of keep on looking, because at some point, we may have to look for another option or see about, do we find space here to bring you all back in? Because that's something that we can't really control, and I'm sure they're being generous. I'm sure that the market will probably command more, but 2 days in a row, we see that on the presentation, and it's not much overall, but I just do have concern that will, over time, lead to a lot of money that we could have put somewhere else. So. And I know that's not you, but I'm just
Sure,
kind of saying
yeah.
it for us. So.
One of the benefits and also one of the factors in us moving was ADA compliance. When we were over here, we were in these cubicles, and there was just not that 3-foot
I
radius.
was just about to say that.
Right.
And the goal is that I hope that we will see a future design for floor 1 that will change the way we deal with the atrium, and that might open up opportunities for more of the services that we have outside to come inside. But we're just busting at the seam now. I mean, we just do not have, I wish we did, because we would all benefit by having you here, but we're so close.
Right.
And most urban counties have annex buildings that house a variety of services and courts. It's too expensive to build new courthouses, and so it's cheaper and easier to go get space elsewhere. With the remodel on the exterior envelope, there might be hope in our future for finishing that project and then coming interior. And we are working on ADA fervently, so we'll keep you posted.
Yeah, and we do like the space. Our clients like the space, of course.
Good.
But we'll go wherever you tell us to go. So
Good.
I just wanted to touch on a few things, if I may.
Sure,
I know
please.
you guys want to go to lunch.
Please, no, go ahead. We're early.
And I'm sure all of you all know this. This is more for the benefit of the public or anyone else who doesn't really, it's not evident for them. That besides those 3 budgets you have before you, we actually do manage 8 more budgets, 7 of which are grants and 1 budget of donated funds. So really, this department manages over $984,000, not just the $500,000 you're seeing in front of you there. And also, besides, the real services that we provide, the rent, the utilities, and so forth, there's lots of indirect services that you probably, again, the court is aware of because we send those quarterly reports. And that's the Operation Heat Help that we work with the city, the Walk with Pride, we work with the Corpus Christi Association of Realtors. We do Thanksgiving baskets. That's usually Frost Bank or the Veteran Services Department work with them on that project. And lots of referrals. So when someone comes into our department and we can't help them with the usual services, if we can't tap into our donated funds, we will connect them with other agencies to make sure that they get the help that they need. Also, some of the organizations that we are involved with in the community are the COAD, the Colonia Initiative Coalition, the Homeless Coalition, the Housing Issues Partnership, the Social Services Coalition, the Innovative Readiness Training, that's a new one. And of course, whenever it is applicable, the TAMUC interns, that social services internship program that we do. So and also child services. Again, that was we've had that for about 6 years, and just some background on that is the program is set up to assist Title IV-E kinship and foster children with clothing, emergency placement, graduation gift cards, school supplies, and Christmas gift cards. And some of these children who are in care are, they're there for extended period of time, so we will see some repeat requests, but of course, that's what we're there for. We also pay for the county attorney's services for publication placed in the Caller Times when they put those services in the newspaper there. I serve as the liaison personally to the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, and also the liaison to the Nueces County Child Welfare Board, where we assist them in their mission to promote the health, education, and welfare of children and families through advocacy, public information, and education. So, again, I know you all know that, so, but I wanted to just mention that for anyone who may find that interesting.
So you're saying you still have a lot of money to give away?
Not right now. No, we have a lot, we have money on the table, and we're ready to assess anyone that comes through. We have multiple programs for all facets of the community, so.
You guys are
You're doing a good job.
miracle workers every day. And we haven't really talked about it because we're still in the process of getting it all buttoned up to bring to court. But the ERAP program, the Emergency Rental Assistance Program that, you know, we feel like could really help a lot of people. Every single program that we've touched in COVID-19 has had your, as they say, paw print on it. And nobody, you know, could really properly express our thanks in touching so many people's lives. I mean, you guys, you know, we almost need counseling for the counselors because I think we've all been super affected. And the people that you've had to touch have had sort of the saddest of all the cases. So, you know, from the Christmas appeal all the way to vaccinations and getting food in their hands and one day delivering baby milk to their door. I mean, it's like court number 5. It's special. You're special. And so I'm of the mind that you didn't ask for enough. But there again, I don't say those words very often. But this pandemic has revealed our vulnerabilities. And everywhere where we haven't invested, we're paying a very dear price. And that is our people are overextended. And we've got to stop that. And people will not fault you if you tell them what it's for and that you make a great investment in their community. It saves money in the long run.
Yes.
And we have to acknowledge that. So, thanks. I don't see that I have any questions because you've done such a good job of keeping your budget the same. Is there anything else from anybody else? Okay.
Thank you for what you do.
Tell
I echo
Rebecca.
the judge's sentiments on the importance of what you do. It's very much appreciated.
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thank you
Tell
all.
Rebecca, we'll see her when she gets back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys. It's 11:40-ish. We're gonna go ahead and take our lunch break, and we'll be back, and when we come back, it'll be animal care and control, and we'll move right through the agenda. It's my agenda says we'll end at approximately 3 p.m. if you're planning your day. So from now until 1, we'll take our lunch break, and then we'll come back in. So, and again, just for purposes of our video, it's 11:39, and we are now off the record. You can take us off the mics. Session of the budget workshops, and this afternoon we start off with Department 5330, which is Animal Control, and Juan Ramirez. And if you're looking in your tabs, I believe it's tab 5. So you'll go to tab 5.
Page 322, it's
Thank you, 322, 323, and,
right before the tab.
oh, it starts right before the
Yeah.
tab.
It's how the
I was like,
pages
what?
printed,
Okay.
sometimes
Yeah.
they're because
Edward just
it's a
texted me.
continuous document.
Yeah, I see it. Okay, no worries.
Yeah,
But Juan, welcome, and
you're next.
we'd like to hear from you, although your budget is very slightly, just slightly changing.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, Judge, Commissioners. So one of the most important parts that I want to present here, we have a new system that we got some monies last year to get a program for animal control on intake of the animals. Now we have intake and we take pictures and all that stuff. Anybody with access to internet can work on it from the field and stuff like that. So I'm asking for phones, 5230, telephones and utilities. It will be 3 phones and it comes up to $1,800. That will give a phone to each one of my officers, and they can enter information on the field, look up citations, prior impoundments, anything like that. The other one, vehicle maintenance, it's only $2,000 that we're asking for. Prices for tires and maintenance went up so high that I'm asking for $2,000 more there. The other one, we're asking for personnel. And it's animal services clerk. That would do, we have a volunteer group for animal services that networks these animals on Facebook and all over the place. So this position, the animal services clerk, which is $30,780 plus benefits, would do that. Network all the animals on either Facebook or emailed or whatever that we need to do to get them to all the 501s rescues.
And I know there's been some discussion about what I would call just maybe, you've seen the cities made some adjustments on their animal,
Yes, ma'am.
plans, and maybe that there might be a few things that Nueces could follow suit. Is there anything you can think of resource-wise that if we did something like that, that you would need for your budget? Otherwise, it wouldn't make any sense that we passed a policy if we didn't have the resources.
There's stuff that I've been looking at.
You can take that one.
One of the biggest difference in the
Yeah.
city of Corpus, for example, they
Yes, sir.
have a leash law.
Exactly.
The county does not have a leash law. They go, basically what the state says, the animal has to stay within the owner's property. I would like to work on having a leash law.
Okay,
I know it would take a lot of input from the public.
sure.
But the way the county reads is it's, the animal must stay in the owner's property. And believe it or not, there's hundreds, thousands of animals out there, and you pass by and the animal stays in the property. It's
Yes,
just,
some are really trained.
yes, but it will be a lot better for, the community that lives in the areas. And my officers can define more if it's, like the city has either leash or a proper fence. And, change that. There's few things that we need to work on. I saw what the city's doing. I don't think we have to or necessary to do it now, like the chipping of the, microchipping. We can work on a lot, yes.
Okay.
There's a lot more that we can improve.
Well, I'm just thinking, if there's anything that you're thinking about coming to us, and there's an important resource that's needed, just be sure and let us know. Even if it's not a part of the budget, it's something I'm gonna keep track of.
Right.
Yeah,
If we do changes, it
Shouldn't impact.
involve monies.
okay, sounds
It will
good.
be just changing the county orders.
Okay, well then let me open it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions of Juan?
Yes, Judge.
Commissioner Modis?
One, I've learned a lot about animal services, animal care services, animal control, however you want to call. I know we've changed our name, but it's really interesting. And I think I've shared this tidbit before in court, but one time I used Facebook, and I was able to share a story or information that we had animals that needed to be adopted. We were running out of time at our shelter, and I know we do everything we can to have live release, to have adoptions, and not have to go to euthanasia. And one of the things that I appreciate is what you've shared me and others that are part of the advisory committee, that this is an emotional drain on you all. I mean, having to end an animal's life is something that's emotionally tough for you and for your officers out there. And so I think one, it just benefits you all, but two, it's something I think the community wants, is to have those live release, those adoptions. But when I shared this article, and it's probably 2 years ago, this post, I looked at it, and you can look at the stats on Facebook, and I had over 100,000 reactions to it. It had been shared 500 times, and so people commenting on those other feeds got 100,000 reactions out of it. One, I think it shows the purpose and the need that we all need to be on social media, all of our departments. But two, it shows the importance of what people place on good animal care in our community, in our county. And so I think one of the steps we're taking forward is obviously to get you a new facility, hopefully soon. I know we've dedicated some money, but hopefully soon to create a facility that really matches what all the facilities in our area, and really the standard is nationwide. They're all improving, right? They're not keeping kind of the older shelters they had. They're looking at technology or just design to really help complement the work y'all do and to keep the animals separated, but also in a clean, hygienic shelter. But with all that, I'm looking at, I want to make sure that we're following best practices. And I know that's a lot for you, a lot to ask of you, because one, the size of your staff that you have, and two, we're still working through separating you from the health department, and I appreciate everyone that's working on that to help us do that. So I know there's a lot of detours or stop signs that we have, but I think we're all getting to where, we want a modern department. We want and we expect that. I think just on that, like I said, that one post, it's kind of anecdotal. I mean, it has some numbers to it, but it shows, I think, that, this community and people in general want to make sure that we're taking care of the animals when feasible, right? When they're able. I know that some still have to be euthanized because of the health that you all took them into custody,
Right.
or maybe even the health that they were released to you. I know you all get a lot of owner release animals to you. They're just done, and they just at least turn them over to you instead of having to find them out in the fields or the yards or anywhere out in the county. But I want to make sure, one, that this position, that it's going to be utilized to help with the social media.
Yes.
Right? I want to make sure that, I'm sure there will be probably other needs that you will have, but that if we do approve it, that we guarantee that we cut out a certain amount of time for social media, right? Because I think I've seen that's very helpful, helps get the word out. I'd love to have a presentation with you, Lisa Buckholder, whoever, because I know that there's a lot of agencies and individuals from all over the country that are coming here to Nueces County to adopt. I mean, it's amazing how many that I hear of that are coming from Florida, Wisconsin, other places that are coming just to adopt, one or several of these animals to take them to other homes or to better, bigger facilities. So I want to make sure, though, that, as we move forward, as we really solidify, the management that we have for the department, the staff that we have there, that we keep that social media or create that social media component, because Lisa's great, but she's a volunteer, and
Yes,
who knows how much time she's going to continue to bless us with her just passion that she has. And if she doesn't, or at least this helps give us a chance to alleviate some of that work she's doing on her own for us, and really put it to a dedicated staff member. So if we do approve this, later in the year, I hope that that's one of the things that you will consider, that it's dedicated, because I'm sure there's a lot of other work that you have, paperwork, office work that needs to be done, but I want to be able to know that somebody is always pushing to get these animals, once they are, checked out and cleared, that they are, they can be adopted out.
Yes, sir. And one of the duties for this specific person will be doing inventories in the morning. Right now, my officers come in, they vaccinate, they deworm, and they also give them flea medicine. So my officers are always in a hurry and have more work than they can do. So this person will come over in the morning to the kennels and do an inventory. Whatever's not vaccinated, they will vaccinate, fleas and wormer medicine. And then from there on, she's gonna be on the
Duty.
computer doing social media, and sending emails to everybody. We have over 350 501c3s rescues that we deal with. I say we, but it's mainly the volunteer group. And this volunteer group, Lisa Buckle and her group, have been doing it for 5 years. The main reason we need this position, if Lisa is not there, we might have to euthanize a lot of animals. So if we getting, ahead of the game and get this position, if Lisa, for some reason, decides to leave or go to help a different department, this position will be there. And I know it's not gonna be exactly like Lisa and the group are doing it, because there's 2 or 3, 4 or 5 of them, but this one will be dedicated for that only.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a good explanation. Are there any other questions for Juan?
Keep up the good work, man. Keep up the good work.
Yes, sir.
The only thing I was gonna tell you, it's kind of unrelated to budget, but I've been meaning to ask you this. I was thinking maybe for every commissioner's court, if you would send to Tyner, or to his office, to Miss Tara, that, we could have like an animal of the day that needs adoption, then we could put it on, or fostering. I bet with the number of people that listen in and watch here, we could do it in public comment, or we could wind up putting it as a permanent, like up front for the public. When we have the most volume of people watching is that first hour from 9 to 10 a.m. And I just think that there's not enough, as Commissioner Mara said, maybe not enough awareness. There's some beautiful animals that we have that maybe could get some profiling. You just choose one. We meet, obviously, our schedule, and if you would send it to us on a Tuesday, that Wednesday morning, we would have maybe some feedback. You just never know. It could even happen from our own county employees.
Yes, ma'am. That would
I've
be
been,
wonderful.
I've been threatening to be a foster mom because I just think that it's a great experience. I've done it a couple of times. It's hard to let the animals go, though.
Exactly.
I've had trouble, but I'm threatening again. So I'd like to see what's out there, and of course, fostering is wonderful because you get a
So-
permanent home for these animals.
So just a little secret between us.
Okay.
I don't know nobody's watching.
Only a few
The-
thousand. Go ahead.
The animals are at our facility. They're staying there from 7 to 12 days, and that's counting weekends and holidays and everything.
Okay.
It doesn't happen anywhere else around here. It's the volunteer group.
So we're doing great
this.
work.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
Excuse me,
great.
Juan.
Yes, sir.
How do you deal with the bigger animals like horses? I had a call right after the floods
Yes, sir.
that somebody had gone over there and told the lady she needed to take her horse out because it was water.
Yes,
Where
sir.
it was standing. How do y'all deal with it? Do you offer to take the horse to a higher ground, or?
Now, livestock, which
Yeah.
is horses, goats, cattle, they're under sheriff department if they're astray. If they're running loose on the streets,
Yeah.
the sheriff department. But if they're in the water, that will be investigations, we all do that. Animal control services. If there's animals in the neighborhoods where there's water, what I do, first thing in the morning, we know the weather's bad and it's been raining, I tell my dispatcher, emergencies only. We concentrate on animals that need to be really picked up if they're injured, attacking, whatever, just emergency. We call it emergencies. So my officers go to the neighborhoods and they look for animals that are in the water, or if it's gonna rain, they're gonna be in the water. And we talk to the community, we tell the public, move them out. I know the one you're talking about. My officer talked to the husband and asked the husband to move the animal out of the water. It had been standing in water all night. He said yes. The next day, it was in the same spot. And he told him the same thing. The second time, we had to let him know that if we had to go get a warrant from the judge's office and pick up the horse, we would do it. That was why she got upset. A judge I can go to their house if I have to, JP, and they will sign me a warrant for a horse in the water. Everybody knows that horses will get
Yeah,
a hoof rot.
Hoof rot, yeah.
Yes, so if we leave him there, he's gonna be sick. So, yes.
Yeah, well, it's up to the owner of the horse to make sure that horse is put up in a safe,
That's
Environment.
that's what the common sense is. But some people, we don't do that.
okay.
And that's where we get involved.
All right,
Enforce the law.
thank you very much.
Judge, you can take
Done a
one of
good
those
job.
horses as a foster, maybe?
There's
Because
three.
you've got some room out
I
there, right?
love
mean,
horses too.
Yeah,
Jackie's a horse girl.
I know that.
Yeah, look, I'm just, like anything, I mean,
It's good
we're
stuff.
very proud of your work, but we understand the resources, and I think you've done a good job explaining what the clerk's position is, and we'll excuse you if there's no other, information needed from
It
you.
was, I talked to Julie Guerra a couple of years back, and she
Yes.
said to put it as a clerk. I would like to call it different, but
Okay.
as of right now, we're just calling it a clerk.
Sometimes Julie's,
Call it what you want, man.
yeah, the reason we do that is it just corresponds to a job
Yes.
description and a pay scale, but we can work with you on the name.
Yes, we can
Because
do
it
the other
does,
assigned
it
duties.
does, attract a, in other words, if you're gonna be doing social media, you might wanna have a word that
Yeah.
focuses on that. I understand.
It will be a live release coordinator, if anything.
Okay, there you go. Well, that's good to note down. Okay. One for coming in today. And we're gonna move on to, I think, we've got, on the telephone, Edward, ready to do, community services, and this is Department 4190 and 4195, and if you'll just turn to your tabs, you'll see that at page 331. I'm sorry, same thing, 330. So, hey, Edward, welcome. I see you're off mute. Would you like to start?
Good afternoon, Judge, Commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank the sheriff because I'm working over here at the Goodwill and we're in his command vehicle and he's been very good about letting us use it. So I really appreciate the county working together in this time of need. So that being said, what we're looking at 4190, I'm just going to highlight the areas where we've increased the budget. One of our line items is the food and kitchen expense. So essentially, price of food is going up. When we can't anticipate, we're trying to open back up. But if we don't, we have another emergency. The cost of what we call shelf-stable meals or meals provided by an outside provider are more expensive. So that's why you see that increase there. So we're transitioning to regular meals, but we still have to think about, okay, if we have a hurricane, if we have an event, we generally drop off three days worth of meals to any of our clients prior to the event. With this COVID, we've had an additional surge of clients that we've been serving, so that's actually a good thing. The next thing that we increased was in our maintenance and repair of equipment and vehicles. We've got older equipment that we're needing to take care of. We're slowly cycling the new vehicles from that agreement y'all made for those rental vehicles. So those are slowly coming in to replace the ones that we have, but we're gonna have a need in some of these other vehicles that keep them repaired. In non-capital, we're asking for, generally it's just general housekeeping things. A hot food serving counter table, an electric range, 3 refrigerators, a microwave, some utility carts. A big expense, believe it or not, is tables. So a regular table generally costs, regular chair costs between $70 to $80 to $90, depending on the quality of the chair. So the chairs that we have in our facilities are older. This is about $10,000 worth of expense to replace some of the existing chairs that we have. It's not gonna replace all of them, but it allows us to take the ones that are in poor condition when we get back to operation and have them ready for our clients. And then just a few other small tables and a television for one of our community centers. So that's 4190. If we go to 4195, the other thing with 4190, and you'll see with our parks department, is we serve as pretty much the emergency management
arm or the operations arm of the county. So we're the ones that run the heating shelter. We're the ones that run the cooling shelter. We're the ones that do the vaccines, the evacuations. In fact, this morning we had a good meeting with land and regarding the equipment placement in case of a hurricane, where we're going to put all of the ABM's equipment there on the plant, cognizant of the fact that we are using that as our evacuation site. So we had a very good meeting this morning where a plan is going to come out of it to where, you know, these are the things we do once the judge calls that a hurricane's in effect and we're moving to ramp up operations. So what we're asking for there is, okay, since my staff does that, maybe a stipend or maybe a increase in their pay for all the extra duties that they do. You know, when we do the warming and cooling shelters, we're there. And it's not just, it's in the case of warming, it's 24 hours a day. In the case of cooling, it's whatever time that the heat occurs or it's that duration that we're trying to keep people cool. So, you know, we would ask that you look at that. Going to 4195, essentially for our
Excuse me one
non-capital
second.
expenses, we're trying to take
Yeah.
our community center to a different
Edward,
level.
hang
So
on,
it's
but
people
Edward.
Yes, sir.
Hold on just one second.
Thank you. Just so we can keep it all together, you have a personnel request for 4190. Do we just want to note that for everybody?
You said one person.
That's what I believe he was just talking about. It's on page 338.
Okay. Okay, so that's just the,
Classifications.
okay, 3 reclass, so it's 47.7. Okay, sorry, Edward, we're making notes here.
Not a problem, Rich.
Got it.
Just let me know when you want me to continue.
Yes, we're ready now. Thank you.
Okay, in 4195, what we're trying to do is modernize. This is going to be one of those check it out types of scenarios. We had tried in the past to come up with a kind of like a registration system where we've got all our parks listed. You go into that website, you click on a park, you want a specific room, like at Hilltop, you want the blue room. You click on that room, you pay a deposit, and bam, you have it without or with little human interaction. You can, you know, plan that building in advance. And we have the idea that, you know, if we know that, we can better position our resources. Same thing with the park. So if you want to have an event in Ortiz Park, or you want to have an event in Amistad Park, we can plan for that based on this scheduling system. So that's what we're asking for. A mobility upgrade, which is another tablet, some Adobe Acrobat software, some software that's specific to reservation type systems, a phone system upgrade out there, and a digital camera. The only other thing that we're asking for there is to provide some uniforms to our community center coordinator. Currently, she has to provide her own, but we think that we should include her in with the rest of our employees. Other than that, that should be it.
Okay. Let me open it up for any inquiries right now. Let's start with 4190 first. Anyone have any questions regarding 4190? Okay, what about 4195?
Yes, Judge.
Yes,
We're going
go
to talk
ahead.
about the software. Lisa, could you go ahead, please?
So hold on, Lisa, I just one question. She only asked for one staff, does the whole, right? She asked for one staff person and the rest are all reclassified, right?
4190 is on page
41
338.
Right, and all the rest of them are reclassified. Okay.
That's correct.
All right.
For the request in 4195, they were approved for the software that they're requesting.
Oh, good.
They were approved for that 2 years ago, and they just haven't ever purchased it. It's in their budget. It's been there, carried forward every
Oh,
year.
how wonderful. So what we'll do is ask Michael to reach out to you today and work on that with you, on that
And
procurement.
I've brought it up to his staff every year, and they said that because of COVID, they just weren't ready to move forward with it yet. Does that ring any bells, sir?
Judge, the issue was that we had, with Lance, we had gone through a couple of pieces of software. The issue that we had with Lance was that he couldn't find us a software that was ADA compliant. You know how if you touch the screen, it has to read to you. If it, you know,
Yes.
that was the biggest issue we had. That's why we haven't been able to purchase it or look, you know, that's why we've been looking for a piece of software. That's why we continue putting it on there
I do
because
remember.
we can't get one that meets the needs that we need.
Yeah, and so there's, as I explained, I think to Lance once, is that there's other options. So what you do is you buy that software, and then you have another portal that says if you have, you know, an ADA need, we'll link it up. We're gonna have to build one, right? We'll have to create it, or we can create a human interface for those folks, or let's talk to Daryl Earwood about this, and I'm just making some notes now. We'll get back to you, but hey, the good news is you've got the money. I think that's the message, is
Hey,
that let us
excuse-
help you.
Excuse me, Edward.
Yes, sir.
We talked about cameras out in the building and inside.
Yes, sir.
And I
That was in budget 1590. We included for cameras inside the building. Yes, sir.
Did that yesterday.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, anybody else? Okay, Edward, very good report, and we'll be back in touch with you regarding that software.
Thank you, Judge.
You bet. Okay, we're a little ahead schedule, but I see Jason's on the call, so we'll just move on to Jason Ott with Agricultural Extension. And Norma's here too. Great. Hi, everybody. Happy to have you. Just unmute and give us a second just to flip the page. This is Department 6110, followed by Department 6210, Family and Consumer Sciences. And you'll see it under tab 7. And once again, look on page 346. 346. Okay. Okay, if all of you would mute just for one moment. Okay, so the thing is, you might have two devices too close together. So one of you, if you're participating on your phone and your computer, you need to take one of them off. That's how we'll get that noise to disappear.
Take the audio off.
Take your, or take your audio off.
You can't mute it, you gotta
Disengage it.
disable it, yeah.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay, Judge, is that better?
Much better. Thank you so much.
We're actually in College Station at State 4-H Roundup, so.
Oh, goodness. Well, we'll be efficient with your time.
You can't hear? Okay, hold on. Okay, we're trying to figure this out on our end so we can both.
Sorry about that. We're,
No worries.
Hopefully there's not too much background noise, and you can hear us.
You're good to go on our end, and.
Okay,
Thank you.
trying to pick our screen. You want to go ahead?
we did put together a quick little PowerPoint for you that kind of shows where your money's going and the personnel that is supporting extension in Nueces County from state, county funds, and then the 4 positions that are shared in the support that's provided from both the county and the state in terms of the funding that's provided for them. We've also got a slide in there that will show you what is the share of state support that you receive, as well as what the current county budget is for both of our departments, 6110 and 6210. And just kind of wanted to show that, y'all are both very much equal partners in supporting the county level programming that's offered here in Nueces County in terms of the extension program. And then the next couple of slides that we wanted to share with y'all is hopefully y'all receive our Making a Difference quarterly news column that provides the impacts that we have achieved for you in this county on a quarterly basis for the funds that we do receive. And then we just kind of wanted to highlight the 4 program areas, I should say, that we work in. And Norma, do you want to add?
Sure. So through horticulture and family and community health, we do have adult and youth community programs right now. And you can see on that screen, all those little highlighted areas are where we currently have community gardens, whether they're youth or adult, that is combined. So about 120 beds with multiple sites. That is something that is being addressed, like I said, through schools and through, for the adult program, through different agencies, different housing authorities, churches, just different locations that have the demographic that want to participate. And the whole idea is they're taught, then they are able to take that home and either do that at home, teach others, or continue through that program. And of course, on the family and community health side, we are continuing to program with chronic disease management, diabetes, hypertension. The numbers in our area are quite high, and so the diagnoses are high. And so that is one area that we continue to work with our partner, the Health Science Center, to teach individuals how to live with that diagnosis and improve their lives as much as possible through diet, exercise, and of course, medication, followed by their doctor's instructions. And then we have nutrition and physical activity. That's just general nutrition and physical activity for both youth and adults, and reaching that audience through not only myself and the Healthy South Texas program, but also our Better Living for Texans program and our expanded food nutrition education program, which those 2 programs focus directly on limited resource audiences. And so they're able to reach those individuals through different partnerships as well.
And of course, agricultural and natural resource education is an important component of what we do as well. And that slide just kind of highlights, the importance of sustainable food, fiber, ecosystems management. It's truly what we do. And I know y'all are looking a lot at some of your drainage issues that the county faces, and certainly the outreach education that we do in terms of teaching conservation tillage management and things like that are, things that can help if we can improve drainage on those private lands and infiltration rates on those private lands through better tillage practices. Then we can reduce runoff and some of the problems that y'all have in county infrastructure. And so that's just, one of the ways through education we can help educate private landowners to improve the food and fiber production that they're working to produce, and then also benefit the public good. And all 5 of those headlines are actually from news releases that were written regarding one of my programs that I did in May. We had a lot of coverage from Southwest Farm Press and Texas, Farm Progress as well. So really proud of the coverage that we got. And then also, enhancing opportunities for successful youth is very important, and that's probably what we're most known for, the 4-H program. And on that slide, there's 3 graphs that I really want to emphasize, and that's ultimately what we do. Is we improve the outcomes of youth. And I know it gets kind of small print, but you can see there the Texas population and the percentage of those students that are enrolled in dual credit courses versus 4-Hers, and then versus our 4-H scholars. And then, the ultimate goal of this is to have successful citizens at the end of a 4-year degree. And you can see in one of those graphs where it demonstrates the success rates of 4-Hers and 4-H scholars over in obtaining a career at the 5-year mark of post-graduation, post-high school graduation over the Texas population. And so we're really proud to be able to provide a program that delivers success like that to our community and can improve the quality of our future citizens' lives as they move forward. And so, whenever you look at our budget, we don't generate any revenue, but there's certainly a lot of in-kind support, a lot of grants and youth scholarships that do come back to the county, and we just wanted to highlight that for you, as well as the anticipated economic benefit that our program participants share with us. And this year at the NCJLS, we had 12 scholars that were 4-Hers that received scholarships. The Texas 4-H Foundation, it had 3 individuals that received those that gross of $30,000 there. So we're really proud of those individuals. Of course, there were several more that are graduating seniors from Nueces County. All total, we have about 800 4-Hers in the Nueces County 4-H program. And so then we have just kind of some of our goals, and we're probably a unique department. And so, whenever you ask, how can you measure our performance, we feel like, the total contact hours that we provide with the community, and then the adoption rates whenever we have best management practices that we suggest, responses from our evaluations, post meetings and things like that on adoption of those practices or intent to adopt those practices, and the knowledge that they feel like they gained, as well as the economic impact that they feel. Our programs are good measures for us in as far as we feel are good performance measures for our department. We've got very small budget requests, a total of about $10,000 in budget requests between the 2 departments. And as you go through the next slide, you can kind of see that most of that is going to be in a couple of different areas. We've got some software requests. Anymore, it seems like you don't purchase software, you get to rent it for the year. And so we're asking that, we have some of that included into our office supply budget so that we can make those annual subscriptions. We have been offsetting the cost of that currently through some of the grants that we have gotten, but we would like the stability and assurance of having that additional funds in our budget, so that, in the event that we did not secure a grant, that we could still purchase Zoom and some of those other resources like that. We have some computers. A couple of years ago, we purchased a good many of them to get the whole office back current. And our desire is to get into a better rotation to where we're not asking for a major computer resource request anytime in the near future. And so we'd like to purchase 2 new computers this year, 2 the following year, and then 1 each year for the next couple of 3 years, to where we pretty much have a less than 5-year-old computer on everybody's desk in our departments is what our goal is moving forward. And then the other item that we have a request for is that we'd like to upgrade the Calderon building auditorium and the demonstration kitchen that we have. Just basically a similar setup to what we're currently looking at in Commissioner's Courtroom, where we have a big screen and some screens on the side, as well as some audio that we can bring in some webinars and things like that as well. It's kind of what our desire or goal is. And certainly, that's going to benefit both of our departments, but any user of the Calderon building would be, a recipient of the ability to use that. Just a small request for some demonstration resources. Our horticulture agent is doing a good job of, building community gardens. He has an olive demonstration. And so just a couple $100 to help him with some of those disposable supplies that he runs into on an annual basis would be helpful. And then we do have a vehicle that's due for replacement. And I know y'all have gone to a different system on that, but it's very high mileage vehicle, and it had some mechanical issues. And so we know that Romeo's been kind of visiting with us already about replacing that, but just kind of wanted to make sure that y'all are aware that, that is something that we're looking for. And then finally, salary enhancement is probably important to everybody, but over the past couple of years, we've felt like we've kind of been overlooked as far as opportunities for salary enhancement on the county level for the county portion of the salaries. And you look at the positions that you get funded for, currently the four agent salaries collectively are $72,000. And so you're getting a lot of professional support for, the cost of basically one person. And you can see where in 2017 and 2016, there's actually a reduction in the salaries that we as agents receive. And I don't know if that was a clerical error or why that happened. In 2017, we visited with the county judge at that time. It was just a small amount, and got that reinstated. But we were looking at a reduction in 2017 in addition to the one in 2016. And so we appreciated them kind of getting that back up. But then, in recent years, we've kind of been left out of salary enhancements for county staff as well. And so we, respectfully request that we be considered as county employees. You can kind of see in the subsequent slides what those individual positions as agents, what they look like. As far as salary and salary enhancements that have happened over the course of time. And then the salary increases for departmental heads and directors from 2013 to 2020. If you kind of look at an Olympic average there, that's averaged about 22%, where our four salaries have only been enhanced by about 7%. And so that's a pretty substantial difference. That really, affects us long term. The county is not responsible for supporting any retirement benefits or any other benefits, but this portion that y'all contribute does go towards our retirement benefit. It's included as part of our salary, and so those differences can really make a difference long term in our pay for an extended period of time. And so we would greatly appreciate y'all considering us as county employees, as we are. We certainly have an opportunity to contribute to the county in many different ways, and we're asked in a lot of cases to do specific things unique to Nueces County. Norma, if you want to talk about some of the contact tracing that you've done.
Sure. So we began contact tracing. When I say we, primarily myself and Lynn Mutz, which is the health agent, but along with Jason and Kyle and Kevin and our support staff, we started that end of May 2020, and we're finally released in April of this year. So for about 11 months, our primary responsibility was to contact trace. And there, probably the better part of 7 or 8 months, Lynn and I were doing that 40 hours a week. So I just wanted to add to kind of what Jason had said. I mentioned the other agents as well. We have 4 agents currently that are either state funded, legislatively funded, federally funded, and 4 additional nutrition assistants in the county. We are currently looking at hiring an assistant 4-H agent that will be funded through the state. And then also we've got a position open for Prairie View Cooperative Extension Program Family and Community Health Agent right now. So there's actually more other funded agents than there are county funded agents. And so in a lot in the family and community health. So we are able to reach a wider audience than if it would just be myself. So adding to that, like I said, contact tracing was important, and we felt that we needed to help as much as we could with that. And so we're happy to do that. We've also participated in some of the drive-through vaccination clinics. Also, Jason and myself have done PPE delivery across the county, and even outside the county. We did some deliveries pretty early on last year, where we were delivering to nursing homes, stat cares, doctors' offices in need. So there's been quite a bit we've done as a response to the pandemic. And prior to that, of course, you know, our response to Hurricane Harvey was quite involved as well. So just some of the other things that the citizens of the county are benefiting from when we are called to some of those extra duties that aren't what our normal duties are as agents.
And finally, you know, we want to remind you that, you know, we are a spending choice, so we're certainly not, you know, a mandated item. And so whenever you think about going through the Luby's cafeteria line, we're kind of hopefully what y'all see is the Jell-O at the end that y'all, you know, get to choose to spend on and make you feel good. And so we greatly appreciate the support that you do give us. And we have some modest requests and hope that y'all will look favorably on those and continue to support us in the future. And we'll be glad to answer any questions that y'all have.
So Jason, the good part in that metaphor is that the Jell-O is always first, right by the salads.
The best part first.
And I
dessert
know
first.
that because we went through those lines growing up and probably just a few weeks ago too. So you guys are always a front of mind for me. And I just want to make sure everybody understood what Norma was saying with regards to contact tracing. That has been an incredible effort. When she means contact tracing, she means for the 33,000 plus people that have been diagnosed with COVID-19 here in our community in Nueces for City County Health for us. So that was something that we must have extended, I don't know how many times, and every time I had to pick up that phone and ask, could she please extend it? I felt terrible because I knew that meant taking away from valuable plans that they had already initiated. But I will say that I guess in battle we do what we need to do, you know, to conquer, and you just really were part of the unsung heroes group there. So, and all the other great things you did, as you articulated so well. But for me, the contact tracing stands out because those were, I mean, I can't even imagine how many millions of dollars you saved us, you know. And if we had to hire out at the rates that we know that you have to pay to get qualified and experienced contact tracers, it would have definitely hit the 7-figure for over a year and a half's worth of work. So I really do appreciate that.
Experience.
Yeah. You get to really see how people live when you're contact tracing. The only thing I wanted to add for the auditors is that they've asked for some important items for Calderon. Could we not put that in Calderon's column rather than their column, or do you feel like it's appropriate the way we've done it? In other words, can we help them out by putting that video equipment on Calderon's side as capital? Not video, but audio video. Just wondering there.
Either way, it would be funded from the same source, which is Department 1900.
Got it. Either way.
And just so you're aware, the 4 positions that they're speaking of, they are funded by a supplement. And so whenever there's a cost of living adjustment, you have to specifically request an adjustment to their supplement in order for them
That's
to
helpful.
receive that. Yes.
Okay, thank you. We're going to make note of all that, and we'll take a look at those. The Calderon is on our radar. Yesterday, we had a presentation on that particular building. So just so you know, we specifically remarked that that's on our radar for capital improvements there. And so let us kind of tackle that, I guess, the way the court wants to. But because everyone's going to use it, I don't think you should be 100% penalized just in your department, you know?
We going into last year, you know, we had to switch gears really fast, and I can speak for the clientele and the partners that I work with, a lot of them are still really kind of a little bit apprehensive, I guess, about getting out. And so we have a lot of individuals that still want to be able to do things virtually. So this would help us do some of those hybrid type of in-person / virtual and provide that to make them more comfortable. So this would definitely help enhance those our program and as we move forward and get back into what we've been trying to, or what we've done all along.
Right. Okay, guys, any questions, commissioners, for Jason or Norma? Also, many thanks for all the good things you do for our wellness program. You are often the featured speaker, the featured chef, the featured nutritionist, and there's just so many good things that you guys do for us that go unnoticed sometimes, but we want to acknowledge those here today. Same thing with the horticulture. We're very active in improving our Richard Borchard Fairgrounds, and people should know that if you haven't been contacted yet, you will be, to help us with that aspect of, the xeriscape landscaping. Not only do we want your opinions and your help, but we want to try to engage all that. I mean, it's just cross-collateralizing the resources we have, right? So, any questions? If not, we're going to let you guys go back to your conference and enjoy College Station.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Next, we have Ida, and I see Crystal's here as well. So welcome, Ida Garza from County Library, making the trek from Keach, or are you here today?
We were here.
Oh, you were here today. Okay. Well,
afternoon.
another unsung hero in the COVID-19 pandemic. Who knew that the law library would be central to our going remote for our JPs?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're here today and to talk about the Keach Family Library budget, the Department 6310. And I appreciate giving me this time to talk to you about some recommendations that we're going to be making for our department. And I guess I can begin with capital first. And I want to begin with some of the building capital that I did not place it on here because I thought I had, but I didn't. And I know I had spoken to, it was on there? Okay. Okay. I had talked to Lisa Davis, and when I got the printout, I said, I thought I put the electrical box in, but I'll talk about it anyway. And I know we've had some issues with our electrical panel, and that's one thing that I had told Lisa, that I know it's not something that belongs in my department, but we have run out of circuits, and so that's needed. So that's one thing that we need. And also my flooring in the offices and in the main area where the computers are, we have carpeting, so we really want to get rid of that. And so those two items aren't on my list, but I know I saw it, I said like, well, it wasn't, but I wrote it down anyway. Thank you, Lisa. And I really had a lot of help from Lisa and Harry and the guys, Julian at the auditor's office, so thank y'all very much. And another item that we do have that we've been dealing with Lance and Larry and Juan, but they're no longer there, so now we're dealing with Michael and the new people that are still there. We have a Barracuda Cisco Web Gateway, and that is approximately about 15 to 20,000. And this has already reached its end of life, and this is a firewall. And this will help us enhance the current, we have our Wi-Fi connectivity, but without this is going back 6 years, I guess, or maybe 7, when Commissioner Ortiz did the T1 line from the Richard Fairgrounds to the Keach Library. We had the project coming in, but once it was at the library, we needed to enhance everything else. So this is one other project that we still is outdated, and it's already reached its life last year. So this is something that's very essential, and we've been communicating with Michael and Bridget and letting them know that we needed it last year, but we didn't
And
get it.
that's the 26?
That's the firewall, 15,000.
I'm sorry, 15, the
Yes,
Barracuda,
the
right above
15,000.
it. My, sorry, okay.
Yes, ma'am. And then we also have a couple of items that are non-capital, and these are the 1,999, 2,500, 2,809, and 3,811. And these are all items that we would like software. And we had been talking to Elva, and then I spoke to Lance, and then I spoke to Michael Robinson. You know, in order for us to be able to collect fines, especially last year throughout COVID, we were closed, but patrons still wanted to check out materials online, specifically audio, visual materials, books, ebooks, and they couldn't because they had their accounts locked. So we waived them for a year, and they can pay it when we already opened back, so we're gonna start collecting all these fines. But they want to be able to have the capability to pay online at home through their computer. So these items that we have here will give them the capability to, if they're at home, they have a fine, and it tells you, oh, you have a fine, but they want to pay with a credit card, they can. And then we'll get the money, it'll go to auditors, so we'll have collection of money. So we've been trying to do this for a couple of years, but I spoke to Michael, he says, okay, put it on the budget, you've already spoken to me, you know, we've run it through Elva. So these are the items that we need, and we'll also need a point of sale, and, you know, we'll get to the auditors once, if we do get it approved, we can work with the auditors to get the point of sale, and we'll take care of it. So this is in order for us to be able to collect fines online.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
And then, moving on to, $15,000 for the Keach Family Library multipurpose room to replace broken tables and chairs. They pretty much reached their limit. And these tables are really, really heavy, and they're already wobbly, so we've had to take them out of commission, so we're running really low on tables now. And, for the next, I wanted to go over our little infographics that Crystal created for our fiscal year. It's a little infographic that tells us about how Nueces County, the year in review, Texans need strong libraries. We already have about 12,190 library card holders. Curbside appointments, we had over 587. Library visits, 23,400. Items circulated, 180,000. Digital downloads, 165,000. Programs offered, 48,149. Program attendance, over 65,740. Visits to our website, 170,000 plus. And especially our social media. I mean, that's where we have the majority of the people that know what's going on, because since COVID for the past year, I have a great staff, and we wouldn't be able to do it without the librarians and my staff that are providing all these activities, and they have to tape all these items and then go back and broadcast them. So we're doing a really great job. I couldn't do it without them. They're doing a real good job. And the funding, we've had Texas State Library grants that we apply for. Texas State Reads, 10,000. Texas Cares Grant, 50,000. Texas State Bar, 3,000. Public Library Association Grant, 2,000. Texas Book Festival, 2,500. The Christina B. Wool Grant, 600. So we had a total of 68,100 grants that we applied for last year. And then we also have had, the county money supports learning resources centers, books, materials, programming, technology, story times, after-school programs, early literacy, meeting spaces, literacy community outreach. So thank y'all for supporting us, the continued support. I really appreciate it. And now we continue to our regular budget. I want to go over a few items that we did have that we want to continue. Because of the grant that we received last year, we want to keep 10 of our mobile beacon hotspots that we have been circulating. And I think Crystal had some numbers, the numbers for, we'll get to them in a little bit. We want to keep 10 of our 20 hotspots that we received with our Texas State Library grants. And because we can get them through the mobile beacon, they only charge us $10 each a month. So we want to go through them, because the counties, it's a little bit more expensive. It's about 35 or 40 per hotspot. And so these, because they're with a grant and mobile beacon, we want to keep 10, and it'll be $10 each. So we'll be spending $100 a month, and a total for $1,200 in a year. And we had hotspots that were loaned out to Agua Dulce, Calallen, Teloso Midway, Bishop, Banquetti, all the schools in the area that the parents were coming to pick up the mobile hotspots, and they continue to use them. So it's something that we really need, that the parents are still, if they're out in the country, they have no Wi-Fi. So these hotspots are really beneficial. And the next item is, of course, you know, we had the big freeze in February, and I want to increase my operating expenses for maintenance and grounds for 3,000 additional, 3,000, and that's to purchase the mulch, trees, and plants. And this is for the aesthetics of the outside of the building. And we have not purchased mulch in over 4 or 5 years, and that's one thing that I see very important when people drive up to our building. I mean, we've been there 14 years, and people are always amazed at how beautiful our landscaping and even the indoors. I mean, I worry about when people come in, what's the first thing they see? The indoors, the outdoors. You know, I try and take pride in where we're at. So this is one thing that I see essential of us to, you know, purchase the mulch and have them replant the trees that died and some of the bushes and stuff that didn't make it. And then also for our educational databases, a 1,500 increase due to the 3%. And also BrainFuse and live online tutoring. This is gonna be about a $3,600 increase because last year we got it with our grant. But we wanna keep these because a lot of the parents are utilizing the homework help, and it also includes the Job Now. So that's, if people need jobs, they can just go online and they blow it up and they can look for jobs. And then we also have, I would like to have an increase in books. It's currently 28,000, and we want to increase it to 22,000 additional for 50,000 total. And this would, due to the increase in books, audiobooks, materials, it has gone up. And then we also have, our Bishop branch has not had a working printer. And so I've contacted Michael, and we are going to be, it's gonna be on the end of the month in June to receive a Ricoh printer. So we will continue to pay for it until the end of the year, but for next year, I'll need an additional 2,110 for it to be paid for the whole year. So that's for our Ricoh copier at Bishop Branch. And it's a smaller one, it's not the heavy, the bigger one, it's a smaller one, but still, she needs to have one because of our Texas State Library and Archives Commission. And that'll benefit us a lot at that area because there's no working printer anywhere in Bishop. And then we also had, going to my salaries, reclassifications. The first one that I have here is our microcomputer specialist. He is currently at $41,620, and he is at a 22. And it used to be a part-time position, but my staff passed, and when I requested that this position be full-time, they downgraded the position to a lower level, but it's still a microcomputer specialist. And at that time, we changed it, and then a few years later, that's when the IT department gave everybody additional salary, but he was not in the pool, so he stayed at 22, so he didn't get the increase. So I would like for him to go back to a 22 instead, 25 instead of the 22. So it's going to be at least about a $7,000 pay increase. And then we have Veronica's position, which is currently a youth services specialist. And at the time when this position became available was when we moved Jeannie from the library and we moved her to the law library. She still didn't have her degree. So it was downgraded to a youth services specialist, non-degreed, and then she finished in December. So she got hired in October, and 2 months later she graduated, but you know, we waited 1.5 years because I didn't bring it to court last year. So she's currently at a 20, and because I want to keep her and not have her move on, I want her to go from a step 20 to a 23, from a 37,000 to 42,848. So it's a couple of $1,000s more, but she does have a master's in library science from the University of North Texas. And then my other two positions are library clerks. And I had gotten a call the last day of our budget deadline from Ms. Julie, and she told me that these positions she had been looking at that were step 11, and she wanted for them to be increased to a step 13 to put them in track with everybody else in the county. So I changed these two positions at the very end, and so these were recommended, and I went ahead and said that that would be fine if, she thought that I should do this, and I did. I came back to the library and I changed them. And also under recommendations, to increase the Bishop branch from a part-time to a full-time. And this is something that I had already brought back to the Commissioners Court a few years ago, and it did not get approved. And we have had a lot of progress and a lot of people coming to the Bishop Branch Library. For one, it's got the Wi-Fi, we've got the activity, we've got a lot of programming. So I would really recommend to the Commissioners Court if we could have these positions evaluated, and hopefully by next year we can have the staff getting paid and move on, so I can keep them.
Thank
Any
you.
questions?
Thank you, Ida. We'll ask. Let's see if there's any questions.
I'm really, really surprised about the printer. I never heard about, there was no printer over there.
Well, it's been down. We had one that was ours, Commissioner, that we took over there, but it's brand new, but it's costing us more money.
I always helped you there at Bishop,
Yes.
so, I mean, I would've known it was a printer. I mean, I'll help you with a printer. But you
Okay.
should have, I mean, I give you money every year to.
Yes.
To help you, so, but, I mean, this is the first time I hear about not a printer being over there, so. We wouldn't have that issue, I wish you would've told me, but call me later, we'll see what we can
Okay.
do.
Okay, great. Any other questions? No, just to say that, I mean, even though the Keach Library and the Bishop Library might be in one area of our county, they serve all.
Yes.
And that seems to be the theme that, that our libraries and our resource centers give. Just, it's such a gift. And it's funny, earlier in the break, I saw that I had the latest and greatest photos from our observation deck. And so I guess a week ago had asked Scott Cross, hey, listen, I think we're advancing so fast, we better go ahead and start getting together on our educational component. Let's call a meeting. And he says, Ida's about 100 steps ahead of you. She and Crystal
contacted-
already designed the whole program, the whole plan.
Yes.
Books are, and so I just want to say thank you for understanding that libraries might be situated in one part of the county, but their resources are for all.
Yes.
And they're not just for children. No. Particularly the Brain Fuse. I would absolutely make certain that Brain Fuse gets funded. We got to find funding there because that's online tutoring.
Yes.
Is phenomenal. And again, it's online tutoring
For free.
for free, and it transcends age. Because there's a lot of great online free classes, like if you have to go to Del Mar and take TSI
Yes.
or ACT,
LSAT.
LSAT, a lot of the certifications for your professions and your technical degrees are there for free. And so, anyway, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And we did communicate with Scott, Judge.
Oh, I know.
About
He's-
3-4 weeks ago, because we were thinking about it, and I told Crystal, you know what, let me call him. So I called
Yeah.
him and sent him an email, and he said that it's a couple of months away, and I said, I thought it was another year, but I'm
Yeah.
glad I called, because I wanted to start planning,
Well,
but
he thinks y'all are the greatest thing ever. And I just can't wait to see the children. And again, I mean, it's cross collateralization, right? Maybe some of the children will learn about our library and not, like you said, the Keach Library, okay, it is a library, but it looks more like a place on a university campus that you might want to go to, with wetlands in the back and wraparound porch, and I'm looking forward to bringing you the Halloween Village. We're gonna have to set up in
Hopefully this year.
September.
Yes.
This year, we'll be able to do that. The children and the adults really appreciate it. And of course, we use it also for big kids things too. It was our media center for vaccinations. It was, I'm certain that anytime we have anything of importance at the fairgrounds, we always extend that to the Keach Library as our resource, so.
We have the National Guard there right now, so they'll
Right,
be
for
there. So
IRT.
we're hosting and they're loving
Right.
it. They're using
Well,
our
it's
little
just-
little cafe, so.
Yeah, it's
they're-
first class. I mean, it just, and it's 14 years old, but if we keep taking care of it,
Yes.
it'll keep looking brand new. I do want to make sure that we captured, so the $3,000 for the landscape, just so you know, I am trying to keep tabs of all the landscape. So if you haven't turned that into Melissa yet upstairs in emergency management, just let her know that you suffered about $3,000 worth of damage for landscape.
Okay.
Because I am, even though we won't get reimbursed for it, it still counts as our
Yes.
overall damage assessment.
Especially with the rain drainage, all our mulch
Right.
washed away too. so
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Appreciate
Commissioners, I
it.
appreciate
No
your
other
assistance.
questions. So guess what? As promised, we are done early at 2:23, and we'll see everybody tomorrow for Commissioners Court, right? Tomorrow's Wednesday, and you're not going to believe this, but after rearranging the schedule, Chief Kidd, they just notified me at about the 1 o'clock hour that he's having to cancel. And so, but the reason he's canceling is the governor's hosting, I told you about the new disaster for immigration. So there's a big meeting that Melissa and I might be going to in Del Rio. And so I'd like to work with you right after this, but commissioners, we may go back to the original schedule, okay?
How are you gonna get to Del Rio?
I'm
Using Zoom?
gonna tell you what Bernie Seal would say.
No, I mean,
My,
yeah.
my flaps are gonna, no, I don't know how, I need to see what's on the agenda and let me just, it was a hefty load already that day, but I might have to do it by this.
Yeah.
Okay, I can just, Melissa can drive and maybe I can be on a hotspot. I'll stay in the morning, right, and then leave at maybe noon or 1, something like that.
Okay.
But I'm just saying to you, remember we were gonna take a big lunch hour? Well, we don't have to do that, so you guys can get out of here earlier.
Sure.
If that's, we'll go back to the drawing board here in just a minute. We'll have to notify the departments, make sure they can still do it. We'll keep everybody informed. I apologize on that. I'm sure Chief Kidd would have loved to have been here, but something takes him away, so. Okay, all right, so we're done. I'll see y'all tomorrow.